behind, abandoning women, blind leading the blind.
We bore the children,
we kept the fire. They stood on our backs as they climbed higher.
Once our rituals were pure, hands in the earth, spirit sure. With Asher rays, they gave us no choice, but no God, no man can silence the void. Plead the court to hear my battle cry. We denounced the God, we denounced the lies. The pens were theirs, the scrolls they made. It is man's guilt and man that needs saved. Rise up now, behold the power. This time they bow. Fight hours, never ours to share. Without the glory, there's no guilt to bear. Every woman today stands free. If sin is owned, man holds the deed. The contract is null as defined. May the record show no woman sign. We never needed a savior, because the truth is sin's name is man. Yes, sin's name is man. Yes, the truth is sin's name is man. Sin's name is man. Yes, the truth is sin's name is man.
Hey, Morgan, Buzzword, welcome in, everybody. We're going to be in Numbers 34 today. I'm going to make sure that my headphones are set up correctly before we get started here. Yes, they are. That is good. I don't know you, no bullies, so I don't bring up anybody on Non-Believers Bible Study Day except for friendlies that I know. So if I know you and you're friendly and you want to come up, you're more than welcome to come up. We're going to be in Numbers 34 today, and I have an anti-sermon for you this morning. If you guys could start sharing out the live, I know there's only 7 of you in here. But if you start sharing out the live, I'd really appreciate it so we can get some people in here. I don't understand what's going on. Now let's see if I'm streaming. I'm having so many problems with YouTube. I really can't wait till I can upgrade this computer. I'm so tired of this. I know other people have issues with it too, but it's very frustrating to try to be building something and have it be like this. This isn't helping me. One day I'll grow up and be a real creator. I think I did it. I think I fixed it. Okay, if anybody's over on YouTube, you can let me know. Did I fix it? Did I fix the sound issues? Are we working? I think we are. I think I'm fixed over on YouTube. Good morning, everybody. Today we're going to finish up Numbers and move on. Fuck. I'm so sorry it took 12 years for us to get this far in the Bible. I didn't really enjoy reading it when I was a Christian, but I guess less so now that I'm not a Christian. You know, what can I say? It's just not that fun. I need more shares, you guys. If you could just hold down my picture and send it to like everybody on your list. I need to get 100 shares ASAP. And then I need to get 5,000 likes ASAP. Hey, Rabbi, do you want to join me this morning? We're going over Numbers 34 through 36. And I'd love your input on it as we read through the text. If you're available, of course. You guys, Rabbi Hannah is in the house. Make sure you're following Rabbi Hannah. She is amazing. Silly Goose, good to see you. Welcome in. KJ, I saw you there too. Welcome in. Welcome in, everybody. I have not been live this week because I had a small, minor medical inconvenience. I have a really bad leg pain for some reason. Hey, Morgan, good to see you. Star Eye, good to see you. Welcome in. And so they're worried about deep vein thrombosis, which can be serious. But apparently they're only worried enough to freak me out about it and then not actually read the ultrasound. and so if you, like, how will I know until you read that ultrasound? Somebody needs to go read my ultrasound, tell me if I have deep vein thrombosis. Anyway, so I've been dealing with that for the past couple of days. Thank you. I don't think that's what it is. That's the good news. I think that it is something less serious, like probably a Baker's cyst that is like a cyst or water like around the knee, behind the knee. And that can be treated with just physical therapy, ibuprofen, compression socks, things like that. But we can't treat the pain until we know what it is. So I just sit in pain and kind of tired of that. If you're friendly, I'd love any friendly to come hop up in the box and hang out with me today. I really, really hate being alone. Like, I know there's lots of creators who are like, I only want ops forever and always, but that's just not me because I hate talking to myself. I hate it so much. Hey, Rabbi, how are you? Oh, now I can hear you. Didn't have my volume. Oh no, it's doing that thing with my sound again where you sound, I have to restart you guys because it's me. Rabbi sounds demonic right now and I know she's not. So it has to be my sound. So
maybe that side of me is finally coming out.
Drops his axe and drags it on the ground.
How are you here? From nothing, how are you here?
That's not an answer to my question. Do people
no, that would be the same
descend
thing.
out of heaven?
You're talking about.
Do people descend out of heaven, Rage? Or is that fiction?
The part that even seemed even more
Rage.
fictional is how you got here. That's the
Rage.
part that seemed even more fictional if you sit down and look at it.
Rage.
How did?
Do people descend out of heaven, or would that be fiction? Be honest, man. You already know the answer.
As I said, I told you this earlier.
It's a yes or no.
You're talking
Rage.
about
It's
heaven
a
and
yes
this.
or
I'm
no.
saying that some of the.
You're now muted again, Rage. You can unmute in just a moment. It is a yes or no. Do people descend out of heaven? Yes or no? Go ahead.
No. I
All
already
right.
claimed that. No,
So
I said
that
you
would
have
be
to
a
pick
fi-
sense
so that
from
would
nonsense.
Be a fiction. Yeah. And that would make the story
If you-
fictional.
I can't.
Right?
I can. No, that doesn't make the
Right?
story fiction. It doesn't make it make.
Okay.
It made the claim fictional, not the story fictional.
Okay. Listen. You said that Paul Bunyan is fictional, that he's not real because he's in a story that when it came out, it was fictional. And now you have realized that the Gospels are talking about fiction, but now you're saying, oh, but Jesus, in this particular case, this is called special pleading fallacy. You are saying that the Gospels are different. You can't just lump Paul Bunyan in with the original intent of the author. Or you can do that over there, but you can't lump Jesus in with the original intent of the author. If the author is writing fiction, the characters still can be real. That's what you're saying now, and you have now completely given it
No,
its own special case?
no, I did not do that. I said that
Did you
I
or
would.
did you
I
not?
would.
Did you or did you not say that Paul Bunyan is understood to be fake because he's in a fictional story that when it
Yeah.
over there, I'd appreciate it. If it's not, I don't know how to fix YouTube. I've done what I can. Hopefully it's fixed over on the YouTubes as well now. Okay, and we're back. Take two. Good morning, everybody. We will listen to another song while we get going over here and get some people in. Start re-tapping that screen, doing all the stuff you were doing a minute ago, and we'll get going again.
Okay, how do I sound now?
Oh, you sound beautiful. That is so much better. It
Demonic.
was
Oh my
so bad. It is the weirdest thing, and it's really everything sounds demonic. But the first time I'll hear it is when somebody on the panel speaks, and I'm like, oh, hey, I don't know. It's a new thing that happens every once in a while when I start up TikTok. I don't know why. They always like to come up with new glitches for us, you know. It's never the same. Hey, Quan, if you want to come up, come on up. We're going to be doing Bible study first. Then we'll do some conversations with Christians. We're in Numbers, and we get to finish Numbers today. We're going to be in Numbers
That's
34.
what I'm doing tonight.
What are you doing?
I am doing the verb breakdown of the Hebrew of Psalms 91 with my friend Kip Davis on his YouTube live tonight at 5 p.m. PST.
Oh my God. Oh my God. I want to watch that. That's amazing.
If you
Did
go
you
to
know that?
Kip's channel at 5, I'll be there.
Okay. All right, you guys. We've got to check out Rabbi Hannah on Dr. Kip's show tonight and learn some Hebrew.
Yeah,
That's
we're
so
doing the
exciting.
breakdown of Psalms 91, which did you know is considered an exorcism text?
No, I did not know that.
It is part of some of the psalm texts that were used as exorcism texts back in the day.
That is crazy. Hey, Nancy, good to see you. Bree, Fitchy Fitch, welcome in, everybody. Keep tapping the screen, sharing out the live. I need to get, hi Vice, I need to get up to 100 shares as quickly as possible. So hold down my face. A whole list of people are going to come up and just start hitting them all. Okay. As many as you can for me, please.
Also, I got to tell you something, Crystal, that happened that I didn't know until yesterday. And when I found out yesterday, I cried because I didn't know. I was talking about my friend Dan's book, you know, about what the Bible says so.
Yeah.
And I was saying that I've listened to it bunches of times. I do have a hard copy, but I have it on Audible, and I listen to it a lot. And somebody, Ike, I don't know if you know Ike the Third. He's a mutual of mine, but he was like, "Oh yeah, my favorite rabbi is mentioned in the book." And I was like, "Oh, who's your favorite rabbi?" And he's like, "You, doofus." And I'm like, "I'm not mentioned in the book." And he's like, "Yes, you are." I'm like, "I am." And he's like, "Yeah, in the acknowledgments." And I'm like, "I've never gone that far. I just go to the conclusion. I go to the end of the book, and I kind of started over." So I pulled out my hard copy, and I go looking, And sure as shit, there I am. He's like, I'd like to thank Vishanti and a few other of my friends and Rabbi Hannah, Kip Davis, Josh Bowen. And I'm like, oh my God.
Wow, that's really cool.
I
That
started
is really
crying.
cool.
I was like, I had no idea. I had
Aw.
to text him. I was like, I've had this book for a year and I never even looked, and I'm so sorry. I'm so grateful. I'm so humbled. Thank you so much.
Aw, that's so cool and so well deserved. Well, listen, we're going to listen to one of my songs real quick while we keep
Let's do
tapping
it.
the screen, sharing out the live. This is my song called You Saw It. It is about Hagar, and it's one of my favorites. I hope
love
you enjoy
Hagar.
Men didn't have the nerve to name you, not with truth, not with blood on their hands. They spoke around you, over you, safe behind their power and plans. They praised what you did for them. They trembled as you gave your name. They wouldn't dare think to name you. No, that would be my claim to fame. I didn't bow when you found me alone. No one else to hear what I'd say. You didn't offer a name for me to whisper, so I named you from my view of you that day. You didn't offer me a covenant, no altar, no future, no claim. What I had was a body for trading, and the courage to give you a name. The God who sees, nothing can hide from you. The God who sees nothing outside your view. You saw it, 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 you saw it. The story's been told for generations, passed along from voice to ear. I called you the God who sees, but it's not how it appears. Like a game of telephone, it traveled, every telling changed the view. Each preaching made it softer, each repeat a little more askew. You saw it, you saw it. Far from my home, isolated, afraid, a body alone in a borrowed land. You saw me doing what I had to do, trying to obey their every command. You saw the cruelty, saw it plain, saw it hand me over like a toy. You saw what was taken again and again. You saw my body and heart destroyed. I ran when escape came into view. Believe distance might set me free, but you found me there in the wilderness and sent me back to what you could see. I named you the God who sees. They heard it as something kind. They said you saw my heart, said it was part of your design. It was never meant to compliment. I named you the God who sees. It was always an indictment. You see it all and do nothing. You see the children, you see their pain, their hunger, their bruises, their abuse. You see the men who harm them while claiming they worship you. You see global wars, you see the suffering. You see it all from your throne and do nothing. You saw it, 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 you saw it. I didn't name you by accident. I didn't kneel, I didn't plead. I gave you a name that fit. I named you the God who sees. You saw it, 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 you saw it.
Inevitably, when I start my non-believers Bible study up on Wednesdays, I get believers in the audience who say, if you're not a believer, why are you studying this? And I find that very weird to ask me in the year of our Lord, Bad Bunny 2026, when I literally have our military leaders telling our military that they are fighting a holy war against Iran. And you want me to not study the very text that they are using for their propaganda.
And there
I
it is.
refuse to be ignorant.
As you were saying these very things, my wife just sent me an article literally where military troops are being told that Trump was anointed by God.
Yes. And they are told this is a holy war. And you can remain ignorant if you want to. I will not remain ignorant. I will educate myself, and anybody who wants to come along with me for the education, I'm bringing them with me, and that's it.
And besides,
And I'm sorry that you don't understand that.
The Bible is fucking fascinating. Think about the way that it has helped formulate and form centuries and centuries of communities, of civilization. Why wouldn't you want to study and figure out shit like that? Why wouldn't you?
Exactly. All right, so let's go ahead and get into it. I do have an anti-sermon today. It is about Sarah, Serah, not Sarah. So we'll be talking about her after we're done here, and we'll go ahead and dig in. Now, I like to read a paragraph, and then I like to ask the rabbi if she has any commentary that she wants to share with us on the scriptures that we read. Okay,
Where are we starting
and if
at?
we have any questions, we're starting in Numbers 34.
Oh
we're going
shit,
to the
I actually
end of
turned
the
right to it.
book.
Can you believe that?
Oh, that's so
I opened
cool.
up I opened up my Humash and turned right to it.
That is really cool. I don't know what Humash is, but I learn new
the
words
Humash
from
is
you all
another-
the time.
The Humash is another word for the 5 books of Moses.
Oh, cool. All right, here we go. The Lord spoke to Moses, saying, command the Israelites and say to them, when you enter the land of Canaan, this is the land that shall fall to you for an inheritance, the land of Canaan, defined by its boundaries. Your south sector shall extend from the wilderness of Zin along the side of Edom. Your southern boundary shall begin from the end of the Dead Sea on the east. Your boundary shall turn south of the ascent of Akrabim and cross to Zin, and its outer limit shall be south of Kadesh Barnea. Then it shall go on to Hazar Adar and cross to Azmon. The boundary shall turn from Azmon to the Wadi of Egypt, and its termination shall be at the sea. I'm just going to read this little section, and then we could talk about the whole section if you want, because it's all about the boundary. So for the western boundary, for the western boundary, you shall have the Great Sea and its coast. This shall be your western boundary. This shall be your northern boundary. From the Great Sea, you shall mark out your line to Mount Hor. From Mount Hor, you shall mark it out to Lebo Hamath, and the outer limit of the boundary shall be at Zedad. Then the boundary shall extend to Ziphron, and its end shall be Hazar Anan. This shall be your northern boundary. You shall mark out your eastern boundary from Hazar Anan to Shepham, and the boundary shall continue down from Shepham to Riblah on the east side of Ain, and the boundary shall go down and reach to the eastern slope of the Sea of Chinnereth, and the boundary shall go down to the Jordan, and its end shall be at the Dead Sea. This shall be your land with its boundaries all around. Moses commanded the Israelites, saying, this is the land that you shall inherit by lot, which the Lord has commanded to give to the 9 tribes and to the half tribe, for the tribe of the Reubenites by their ancestral houses, and the tribe of the Gadites by their ancestral houses have taken their inheritance, and also the half tribe of Manasseh. The 2 tribes and the half tribe have taken their inheritance beyond the Jordan at Jericho, eastward toward the sunrise. What should we know about this portion of the scriptures?
Honestly, all this is really talking about is the borders. It describes the boundaries of Eretz Yisrael. It's talking about the Great Sea and the Mediterranean, and it seems a little like it repeats itself a little bit. So there is some opinion that teaches that any part of the Mediterranean Sea that is opposite the west coast of Eretz Yisrael is included in the territory of Eretz Yisrael, like even as far as the Atlantic Ocean. But there's also another opinion that says the extra word is the teaching that we are now to draw a line from that northernmost point of Israel to its southernmost point, and that part of the sea is within our boundaries, but no farther than. It just depends on like who you lean with in terms of the opinion of that.
Oh, okay.
I'll be honest with you, numbers is always boring to me.
I know, it's taken me forever to get through this because it bored me so much. Okay, but we're almost done. We're like in the home stretch, so we'll finish this up here finally. Hey, Nicholas, how are you?
Yep. Yep. Can you reread verse 13 again?
Sure. Moses commanded the Israelites, saying, "This is the land that you shall inherit by lot, which the Lord has commanded to give to the 9 tribes and to the half tribe, for the tribe of the Reubenites by their ancestral houses, and the tribe of the Gadites by their ancestral houses, have taken their inheritance, and also the half tribe of Manasseh. The 2 tribes and the half tribe have taken their inheritance beyond the Jordan at Jericho, eastward toward the sunrise."
So the SBL says this is the land you shall apportion by lot, not inherit.
That's the same thing, love.
Is it? Okay.
Yes.
So it's portion and inherit are the same in this regard?
Yeah, because it is being given to. So you're inheriting, as in you're inheriting it, or it's being given to you.
Okay. Awesome. Thanks, Trevor.
All right. Now to the tribal leaders. The Lord spoke to Moses, saying, "These are the names of the men who shall apportion the land to you for inheritance: the priests Eleazar and Joshua, son of Nun. You shall take 1 leader of every tribe to apportion the land for inheritance. These are the names of the men of the tribe of Judah: Caleb, son of Jephunneh." I don't know how to say these names. Of the tribe of the Simeonites: Shemuel, son of Ammihud. Of the tribe of Benjamin: Elidad, son of Chislon. Of the tribe of Danites, a leader: Bukai, son of Jogli. Of the Josephites, of the tribe of the Yogli.
You're doing great.
Of the Josephites, of the tribe of the Manassites, a leader: Haniel, son of Ephod. And the tribe of the Ephraimites, a leader: Kemuel, son of Shipton. Of the tribe of the Zebulunites, a leader: Elizaphon, son of Parnach. Of the tribe of Isaacites, a leader: Paltiel, son of Azan. And the tribe of Asherites, a leader of Ahihud, son of Shalomi. Of the tribe of Naphtalites, a leader: Pedahel, son of Ammihud. These are the ones whom the Lord commanded to apportion the inheritance for the Israelites in the land of Canaan. Hopefully, hey, chatting with Kathy. Hey, hopefully my Hebrew will get better on Fridays. Rabbi Bert is teaching us Hebrew in my Discord. So I just started last week. I know. Awesome. I'm so excited.
Also, if you want
so
to
hopefully this will get better.
I will say this, and I know I'm plugging it because he's a friend, but I also read through the books before it was published, so I know it's good. Joshua Bowen has Beginner's Guide to Hebrew, Volume 1 out.
Oh, cool. Oh, awesome.
And it's not too expensive. It is really good. It's one that you can work through by yourself or use it as a supplementive for any classes that you might be taking.
Okay, cool. That sounds really good. Yeah, like I would totally take Dr. Bowen's classes if I could, but I cannot. And
I know that's why he's made the books. He's got 2 more volumes coming out too.
And I do love Rabbi Bert's way of teaching us. He's teaching us like kids, good. And I like it. I really like it a lot.
Well, Rabbi Bert is awesome. He's the GOAT, man.
He taught us how to write boobs using Hebrew letters. It was phenomenal.
Yeah, I can write boobs now.
I can write boobs.
And booby. And booby. I can write booby.
I was just thinking to myself, there isn't a lot in the world anymore where you could just write boobs. More people need to know how to write boobs in Hebrew, is what I'm saying.
They do.
Literally.
And so join the Discord and come learn how to write boobs and booby with us, okay? Because it's fun.
You said he's doing this on Fridays?
Yeah, he does it on Friday. We start at 11 a.m. to noon Pacific time.
I might have to drop in there and just be like, hey.
Yeah, you should. You definitely should. And all of you who can't join us on Fridays, Ty here is amazing. And she records it for us. And then she puts the recording in the Discord for those who need to catch up and do it on their own time. I have to admit, I have not studied this week. I have not had a lot of time. I've been, running to doctors and things like that. So it's been kind of a chaotic week for me. All right, here we go. Moving on to 35. You guys are almost done. I'm going to be so happy. Hey, Tiny. Okay. In the plains of Moab, by the Jordan at Jericho, the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, command the Israelites to give from the inheritance that they possess towns for the Levites to live in. And you shall also give to the Levites pasture lands surrounding the towns. The towns shall be theirs to live in, and their pasture lands shall be for their cattle, for their livestock, and for all their animals. The pasture lands of the towns which you shall give to the Levites shall reach from the wall of the town outward 1,000 cubits all around. You shall measure outside the town for the east side 2,000 cubits, for the south side 2,000 cubits, for the west side 2,000 cubits, and for the north side 2,000 cubits, with the town in the middle, and this shall belong to them as pasture land for their towns. The towns that you give to the Levites shall include the 6 cities of refuge where you shall permit a slayer to flee. In addition to them, you shall give 42 towns. The towns that you give to the Levites shall total 48 with their pasture lands. And as for the towns you shall give from the possession of the Israelites, from the larger tribes, you shall take many, and from the smaller tribes, you shall take few. Each in portion to the inheritance that it obtains shall give its towns to the Levites. So I guess my main question here is, what is a slayer to flee? What does that mean?
Let me take a look at it again. Hold on a second, because I'm guessing you're using the NRSV UE, right?
It's just the NRSV. I don't have the updated edition.
Oh, gotcha. Oh, okay. Hold on. If I remember correctly, it's supposed to be for refuge. If I remember correctly, the 6 cities of refuge that you provide for a killer to flee there is supposed to be for refuge, but not for, yeah. It's used to live in, yeah. Having to 6 cities of refuge. Yeah, they were supposed to, it says killers to flee there, but it means that you were supposed to provide refuge. The Levites are supposed to provide refuge for those who are fleeing from other nations or from slavery or from something of that nature.
So I get, why are we providing refuge, though, for a murderer or a slayer?
That is a really good question. and I don't have an answer for you.
Okay.
I want to be, I always tell people if I don't know, I can research it and get back to you, but I don't have an answer right off the top of my head.
I'm going to see if I can find anything. Numbers 35, and it's 6, or no, it's not. Is it 6? Yeah. Why is there refuge for a slayer to flee there? What was the rabbinic teaching on this? I forget what it thinks I say when I say rabbinic teaching. You guys, what did it think I said? Because it did it different. It thinks I say rabbit something, but I can't remember what it thinks. This time it thought I said ribbon instead of rabbinic. It does not like the word rabbinic. Robin egg. It does. It thinks I say robin egg. So whenever we look up the rabbinic teaching, we're looking up the robin egg teaching. Let's see. The purpose was to protect someone who had killed another person unintentionally.
Yeah, I had to look it up
why
too.
we're offering
That comes
that
from
okay.
That comes from Tractate Machos 10a. So the 6 dedicated Arlei Miklat provide protection from the Go'el Hadam, even if the killer is not aware. Whereas you cannot provide refuge to a person who is aware. So it's like in self-defense or something of that nature. Yeah, that comes from Machos 10a. While you were looking, I was like, you know what? I need to find out myself. So let me just...
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, because like I could see people trying to seek revenge on that person or something, and they're like, no, they didn't do it on purpose. We should give them a place to be safe.
Now, notice it's only the Levites, though. Speaking of the awesome goat rabbi, hello, Rabbi Bert.
Hey, there he is. There he is. Hey, Sonny. Hey, Ty here. Hey, did I say hi to you guys? Hey, Mr. Pagan. Welcome in. Okay. The Lord spoke to Moses, saying, speak to the Israelites and say to them, when you cross the Jordan into the land of Canaan, then you shall select cities to be cities of refuge for you so that a slayer who kills a person without intent may flee there. The city shall be for you a refuge from the avenger, so that this, here it explains it all for us, so that the slayer may not die until there is a
but minor later. I'm doing Hebrew with Kip Davis tonight for Psalms 91.
That's so nice. Hi, Crystal, so good to see you. I said I have to leave at 11 for a phone call, but I'll be back at 11:15.
Okay, sounds good. Doug was calling because I'm waiting for test results from an ultrasound on my leg to see if I have deep vein thrombosis. And the doctor ordered it stat, and the lab did it stat. And then I made sure the doctor knew that I had done it. And then his office is just like, okay, we'll tell him, and it'll probably be about 3 or 4 days. What does stat mean?
That's not what stat means.
What are you talking about? So my husband was calling to make sure that he can call them now and yell at them. And I said, yes.
Maybe stat means sometime. maybe stat means sometime after Thursday.
Oh, okay. I'm going to tell my daughter-in-law who's a doctor that. She's going to like that.
I'm going to remember that.
She said that she orders stuff stat, right? And then she found out from the lab, it does not matter. Like this was when she worked at a different hospital, not the hospital she's working at now. But it did not matter to them that you put stat on. They still just went in the order that it was received. So she was like, what? I needed those immediately. What are you talking about? So yeah, I'm going to tell her that. She'll like that. Okay. So this explains it anyway in verses 9 through 15.
Right, and this is going to be different though. So this is not the Levites though. This is an area that aren't the Levites that are also providing refuge for someone who unintentionally unalive somebody. I'm trying to make sure I'm using that TikTok language. Because what happens is as I start
Right.
getting into this, and then it's like, oh, I forgot
so
that I
sorry
got to
to
use
Right.
TikTok language.
I have some amazing news that I'd love to share.
Oh, please.
Okay, go ahead.
Kristi Noem has been fired. She's out.
That is good.
No
news.
way.
Yeah.
Oh my
That is good news after what I heard this morning. I heard this morning that the military are being told that Trump was anointed by God.
Yeah, they're definitely posting that shit, but I think they're trying to put a tamp down on that. It's pretty weird. But
Kristi Noem has
yeah.
been fired. I will tell my wife. She's in class, so when she gets out of class, she will be super, super happy.
It's because she was on an Air Bang Bust 300 or whatever. Air Bang Bust 757. That's
I don't.
an inappropriate joke, and I apologize, but she was having sex in the back of a plane that they were using supposedly for ICE. They were using federal dollars to take people using ICE, but they were doing it in the back of the plane. Her and whatever that
Oh my
guy's name was, second in
gosh.
command. Yeah, it's a huge, huge scandal, but it's some good news nonetheless.
That's wild.
Yeah. What a
Wow.
time! What a time
Wow.
to be alive. So back to
What a time to be alive.
back to peak morality here.
One day,
with,
my grandchildren will say to me, Grandma, how did you find out about Kristi Noem being fired? And I'll say, I was live on TikTok and my rabbi friend.
interrupted you
That's
reading.
how I.
So sorry.
He interrupted me reading the Bible to tell me that she was screwing somebody on an airplane. Hey, Eddie's World, how are you?
And then he logged off because he has to go make a phone call. All right, talk to y'all soon.
Okay, we'll see you in a
Bye.
little bit.
Enjoy
Bye.
your phone call. We'll see you in a little bit.
All right, moving
Okay,
right
so-
along.
Well, according to Bava Kama 26b, the pasuk says that a killer shall flee there, one who takes the life unintentionally, emphasizing that exile is only for a person who unalived unintentionally. That not that he forgot something or that he knew he had a stone in a lap or that he
Right.
slipped his mind. However, it is that he is not aware that, or how did he put it? Not aware that the stone was there. Like some of it says that basically if he accidentally unalived someone through pure accident, not through self-defense, they're also allowed to.
Okay.
So there's
Okay.
that as well. That's from Bava Kama 26b.
Okay. All right. Concerning murder and blood revenge. Okay. Hey, Andrea. Good to see you. Inquisitor Bacon. Okay. But anyone who strikes another with an iron object and death ensues is a murderer. The murderer shall be put to death, or anyone who strikes another with a stone in hand that could cause death, and death ensues is a murderer. The murderer shall be put to death. Or anyone who strikes another with a weapon of wood in hand that could cause death, and death ensues is a murderer. The murderer shall be put to death. The avenger of blood is the one who shall put the murderer to death when they meet. The avenger of blood shall execute the sentence. Likewise, if someone pushes another from hatred or hurls something at another, lying in wait, and death ensues, or in enmity strikes another with the hand, and death ensues, then the one who struck the blow shall be put to death. That person is a murderer. The avenger of blood shall put the murderer to death when they meet. Okay. So please don't use all caps and do not spam my chat. Nobody's coming to Jesus because you're annoying, okay? People don't come to Jesus when you're annoying. That's when they turn away, okay? So I think this is pretty straightforward. Like it's just listing all the ways that it, yeah.
Now, what's interesting though is we take from this in terms of Jewish law, because it says that until he stands before the assembly of judgment, that because of this, that we aren't supposed to actually put anyone to death. We're not even allowed to execute a guilty person until they stand before a trial. And we make it very hard in terms of rabbinic Judaism to actually execute anyone.
Okay, that's good. Well, that's good. That's good. All right. But if someone pushes another suddenly without enmity, or hurls an object without lying in wait, or while handling any stone that could cause death unintentionally, drops it on another and death ensues, though they were not enemies, and no harm was intended, then the congregation shall judge between the slayer and the avenger of blood in accordance with these ordinances. And the congregation shall rescue the slayer from the avenger of blood. Then the congregation shall send the slayer back to the original city of refuge. The slayer shall live in it until the death of the high priest who was anointed with the holy oil. But if the slayer shall at any time go outside the bounds of the original city of refuge and is found by the avenger of blood outside the bounds of the city of refuge, I'm sorry, I have to stop. This just sounds like a kid's game, but hang on, let me finish. And is found by the avenger of blood outside the bounds of the city of refuge and is killed by the avenger, no blood guilt shall be incurred. For the slayer must remain in the city of refuge until the death of the high priest, but after the death of the high priest, the slayer may return home. Okay, so here's what I picture. We are at Bible camp and we want to play games that are Bible intended, and we play this, what's it called? The Avenger of Blood. Okay. And so we're in this big square and maybe there's some obstacles or whatever. My object as the slayer is to try to sneak out without the Avenger of Blood catching me. But if the high priest gets killed before then I get to go free. But if not, and the Avenger of Blood catches me, I'm out. What do you guys think? It sounds like a good,
I don't know
game,
that
right?
that's a good children's game.
I think it would be lovely. I know.
I mean,
see,
it
look at.
might be.
I really think that my next punk band though is going to be called Avenger of Blood. Like, I like that name. That's got some zhuzh to it. See, look, they can totally imagine playing that at Vacation Bible School. I can too. I think it's a great game. It sounds metal as fuck. It really does. It is. It's for Baptists. Okay, we're going to finish up this chapter right now. These things shall be a statute and ordinance for you throughout your generations wherever you live. If anyone kills another, the murderer shall be put to death on the evidence of witnesses, but no one shall be put to death on the testimony of a single witness. Moreover, you shall accept no ransom for the life of a murderer who is subject to the death penalty. A murderer must be put to death. Nor shall you accept ransom for one who has fled to a city of refuge, enabling the fugitive to return to live in the land before the death of the high priest. You shall not pollute the land in which you live, for blood pollutes the land, and no expiation can be made for the land, for the blood that is shed in it, except by the blood of the one who shed it. You shall not defile the land in which you live, in which I also dwell, for I, the Lord, dwell among the Israelites. Yeah, that's a good question. Darren says, so what happens to vengeance is mine, thus saith the Lord, if we have a blood avenger?
That's part of the reason why the Sanhedrin established that you cannot just go around on the basis that vengeance is supposed to belong to God, which is why the Sanhedrin created you cannot just decide that you're going to have a blood avenger. You have to have a proper court and go through the proper court. And then even then, but now without the Sanhedrin, we can't put anyone to unalivement.
Yeah, I used to be a big proponent of the death penalty. I not that I believed every murder. Actually, I believed that there were definite cases that we should put that person to death, like, you know, like a serial killer, like Ted Bundy or whatever, like, you know. And I'm not saying he
I've
didn't
never
deserve
been.
what he.
I've never been.
But
And my reasoning
I
is
was a conservative
because I think
Christian.
they should be tortured.
Oh wow.
Not I believed, okay, so you put them to unalivement, that's done. What did they didn't learn
Yeah.
anything. You make them sit in a cell for the rest of their lives. That is having to dwell on what they did because they have no other choice but to sit in a cell for the rest of their lives. That is a whole different, that is punishment. But you just put them to unalivement and you're done and over. They learn nothing.
Yeah. And also what I found after starting to, you know, when you start to deconstruct, you start to realize that if I have a view about something and I've really never researched the opposing view, then maybe I should shut up and listen to the opposing view for a while and see if I'm right about what I think. And so I started listening to what people who were against the death penalty were talking about. And one of the things is that the cost is greater. It is just so much greater on the states and our government and on our tax dollars to actually put someone to death. It costs us more than keeping them alive. And it does nothing for us as a society. They're not out, but they can't kill anybody else again. It's not protecting us by killing them. And so I started realizing that maybe I'm wrong. And when I found out how many innocent men who are mostly of color are put to death due to the death penalty, I could not agree with anymore. It's also
if we look at it,
you're right.
Disproportionate. Yeah, it's a disproportionate amount of men of color, specifically black men, who are put onto unalivement row. I'm trying to get around all of the stuff,
yes,
but we know that that's the
it's
truth.
hard. Yeah, it's just the truth. All right, let's finish up this stupid book. And then I have a wonderful anti-sermon for y'all this morning. The heads of the ancestral houses of the clans of the descendants of Gilead, son of Machir, son of Manasseh, of the Josephite clan, Machir, I don't know how to do it, of the Josephite clans came. Which
one? The heads of the fathers of the family of the children of Gilad, son of Machir, son of Manasseh, the families of the children of Joseph. Yeah.
Came forward and spoke in the presence of Moses and the leaders, the heads of the ancestral houses of the Israelites. They said, the Lord commanded my Lord to give the land for inheritance by lot to the Israelites. And my Lord was commanded by the Lord to give the inheritance to our Lord Zelophehad, to his daughters. But if they are married into another Israelite tribe, then their inheritance will be taken from the inheritance of our ancestors and added to the inheritance of the tribe into which they marry. So it will be taken away from the allotted portion of our inheritance. And when the Jubilee of the Israelites come, then their inheritance will be added to the inheritance of the tribe into which they have married. And their inheritance will be taken from the inheritance of our ancestral tribe. So what I'm getting from this is they're doing some math here, and they're going, wait a minute. If we do this, when they get married, we're going to lose out. Is that what they're saying here?
Let me look it over one more time. Give me a second. Okay.
Thank you guys for being here. Keep tapping the screen, sharing out the live. I've got a wonderful anti-sermon for you this morning. And you want your friends to be here for that. Send it out to all the women you know.
Oh, it's basically like you're just passing around money because all of the tribes of Israel are supposed to also share. Like, I don't want to say profit sharing, but that's kind of sort of it. So the traveling around from tribe to tribe just means it's not going anywhere. And it's weird for it to travel around when it should be staying to be shared by everyone.
Okay.
So an inheritance shall not make the rounds from a tribe to another tribe, for the tribes of the children of Israel shall cleave every man to his own inheritance, meaning that you already have an inheritance. You don't need to be taking the inheritance from another tribe.
But what does it have to do with the marriage, for the marriage of the female heirs?
Because when a woman is getting married, she has a certain amount of money that goes with her to the man that she is marrying.
Okay.
And they're saying that man has his own inheritance already because he's a part of the tribes. He doesn't get to inherit the money from another member of a tribe.
All right. So, yeah. So it was like, hey, wait a minute. We don't want that passing around. Okay. Then Moses commanded the Israelites according to the word of the Lord, saying, the descendants of the tribe of Joseph are right in what they are saying. This is what the Lord commands concerning the daughters of Zelophehad. Let them marry whom they think best, only it must be into a clan of their father's tribe that they are married, so that no inheritance of the Israelites shall be transferred from one tribe to another. For all Israelites shall retain the inheritance of their ancestral tribe. Every daughter who possesses an inheritance in any tribe of the Israelites shall marry one from the clan of her father's tribe, so that all Israelites may continue to possess their ancestral inheritance. No inheritance shall be transferred from one tribe to another, for each of the tribes of the Israelites shall retain its own inheritance. So I'm just going to tell you right now that bothers the shit out of me. Like, you have to marry somebody within your clan, because fucking property is more important than who you love. Okay?
Yes.
Like, we care more about your property.
Love was nothing to do with it. That's the part of it. That's was no
sad thing.
Yeah, love was nothing. It was just, so what? You married for property inheritance. You married to alliance, things like that.
Yep. Hey, Lapaka, how are you? Barfing Toaster, good to see you. The daughter of Zelophehad did as the Lord had commanded Moses. Mala, Tirzah, Hagla, Milcah, and Noah. The daughters of Zelophehad married sons of their father's brothers. They were married into the clans of the descendants of Manasseh, son of Joseph, and their inheritance remained to the tribe of their father's clan. These are the commandments and the ordinances that the Lord commanded through Moses to the Israelites in the plains of Moab by the Jordan at Jericho. You guys, we fucking finished Numbers.
Yes,
we're done with Numbers.
Hazak veni hazak. It just means be strong, and may you be strengthened. That's what we say at the end of when we finish reading something.
Oh, that's cool. I like that. All right, I do have a good anti-sermon today, y'all.
I'm ready. Let's do this.
All right. My anti-sermon, let me pull up my docs. Today, we are talking about, let's go. Sarah. Okay. All right, everybody ready? Get yourself a drink. Get yourself comfortable. As you know, my sermons get a little bit longer now than they used to be. I do have 4 episodes out now of anti-sermons. If you've missed them, go check them out. I'm going to start popping some bonus episodes up to get us a little more caught up, because I have more sermons written than I do have. Like, once a week is not enough. I need to put out some extra ones now and then to catch us up. But right now, we're going to be turning to Genesis 46:17. I read from the web translation of the Bible simply because it is in public domain. And so you follow along in whatever Bible makes it easier for you. The sons of Asher, Imnah, Ishva, Ishvi, Buriah, and Sarah, their sister. The sons of Buriah, Heber, and Malkiel. We are deep inside a genealogy. Names, lineages, sons. The chapter is listing the descendants of Jacob as the family moves into Egypt during the Joseph story. And the structure of the passage is extremely predictable. Man after man, son after son, line after line. It's genealogy. So I know that most of you skipped it when you were Christians. It's the part where your eyes started glazing over, the part where you think, okay, we get it. A bunch of people had a bunch of sons. It's a section that feels like it was designed to help you fall asleep during a nightly devotional. But genealogies are actually where some of the most interesting clues in the text live. Because once you slow down and start paying attention to the patterns, you begin to notice when the pattern breaks. This is how genealogies in Genesis normally work. They track the line of inheritance. They track the line of authority. They track the line of the men. And then suddenly the pattern breaks. And Sarah, their sister. One woman, no explanation, no story, no reason given for why she is there. The text pauses long enough to acknowledge her existence and then immediately moves back to the men again. This is something we have to start paying attention to as we read these ancient texts, because ancient Hebrew storytelling is built on patterns. These passages were not just written to be read silently. They were chanted, they were recited, they were repeated aloud across generations, which means patterns mattered, repetition mattered, structure mattered. And when a pattern breaks, the break is rarely accidental. When you see something unexpected in a text like this, it's a signal, a little red flag in the narrative that tells us, pay attention here. Something interesting is happening. Because in a genealogy full of sons, suddenly naming one daughter is unusual. And the question that immediately follows is the same question readers have been asking for centuries. Why her? Her name and what it means. The woman named in this genealogy is Sarah. Scholars generally connect her name to meanings like abundance, overflow, surplus, or extension. The idea behind the name is something that stretches beyond what is expected, more than enough, an overflow. And that's interesting when you think about the way her story develops later in Jewish tradition, because the Bible gives her almost nothing, just a name in a genealogy. But later traditions give her a life that stretches across generations, a life that extends far beyond the moment she appears in this text. Now, before we get ahead of ourselves, let's stay with the Bible for a moment, because Sarah is only mentioned a few times in Scripture, and every time she appears, it's inside a genealogy. There is no speech, no personal story, no explanation for why she is named, and when almost no other daughters are, she simply appears as Sarah, their sister, which again raises the same question, why her? Because genealogies in the ancient world usually existed for one reason, to track the line of the men, to track inheritance, to track authority. So when a daughter appears in the list, it stands out. And when something stands out in the text like this, it's usually worth slowing down and asking why. There's almost synopsis of her story. There's almost no story. As I stated, Sarah appears briefly inside a genealogy of Jacob's family traveling to Egypt. She is identified only as a sister among the sons of Asher. That's it. She doesn't give a speech. There's no narrative role. There's no explanation in the text for why she is included when almost no other daughters are. She simply exists inside the text. And sometimes that is the most uncomfortable thing a woman can do in a patriarchal story. Not cause a scandal, not bear a famous son, not trigger a crisis that moves the plot forward, just exist, which leaves readers with a question the text never answers. Why is she here? Here's all the Bible verses where she appears. Genesis 46:17, the sons of Asher, Imnah, Ishva, Ishvi, Beriah, and Sarah, their sister. The sons of Beriah, Heber, and Malchiel. Numbers 26:46, the name of the daughter of Asher was Sarah. 1 Chronicles 7:30, the sons of Asher, Imnah, Ishva, Ishvi, Beriah, and Sarah, their sister. 3 mentions, all genealogies, no story. Rabbinical teaching. The Bible gives Sarah almost nothing, just a name, but later Jewish tradition refuses to leave that silence alone. Rabbinic literature expands her life dramatically, turning her into one of the most fascinating minor figures in Jewish storytelling. One of the earliest expanded tradition appears in Jewish Midrash called Genesis Rabbah. In Genesis Rabbah 94, the rabbis tell a story about the moment when Joseph's brothers returned from Egypt and revealed that Joseph was still alive. The father, Jacob, had believed for years that Joseph was dead. The brothers were afraid that suddenly hearing the news might shock him so badly that it could harm him. So according to this midrash, they asked Sarah to deliver the news carefully. Sarah approached Jacob while he was praying and began singing softly while playing a harp. Joseph is still alive. Joseph is still alive, and he rules in Egypt. By introducing the story slowly through song, she allowed Jacob to absorb the news without collapsing under the shock. Because she preserved life with her words, he blessed her with extraordinary longevity. From that point forward, rabbinic storytelling begins to treat Sarah as someone who lives far longer than a normal human life. That long life becomes important in another story preserved in the Babylonian Talmud. In the Tractate Sota, chapter 13a, the rabbis describe a moment during the Exodus. Moses remembered that Joseph had made the Israelites promise that when God eventually delivered them from Egypt, they would carry his bones with them. But after hundreds of years in Egypt, no one knew where Joseph had been buried. According to the Talmud, Moses went to Sarah because she was the only person still alive who remembered the earlier generation. Sarah told Moses that the Egyptians had hidden Joseph's coffin in the Nile River. They believed that as long as Joseph's bones remained in the water, the Nile would remain blessed. Moses went to the river and called out to Joseph. He asked Joseph to rise so the promise made to him could finally be fulfilled. According to the story, the coffin rose from the river and Joseph's bones were carried out of Egypt with the Israelites. In that moment, Sarah becomes something very important in Jewish storytelling. She becomes the keeper of memory, the one person who remembers the past clearly enough to guide the future. Some later rabbinic texts go even further. In Pirkei de Rabbi Eliezer, a medieval collection of rabbinic tradition, Sarah is listed among a small group of righteous people who entered paradise alive without experiencing death. In those traditions, Sarah becomes something even more symbolic, not just a woman mentioned in genealogy, but a witness, someone who carries the memory of Israel's story across generations. Christian teaching. When we move from rabbinic tradition into Christian commentary, something interesting happens. The story suddenly becomes very quiet again. Where Jewish interpreters built entire legends around Sarah, most Christian scholars barely pause at her name. She appears, she is acknowledged, and the commentary moves on. For example, in his well-known Bible commentary, the 18th century Methodist preacher John Wesley simply notes that Sarah is their sister, meaning the daughter of Asher, and offers no further discussion. Matthew Henry's famous commentary on the whole Bible does the same thing. Henry focuses on the genealogy itself and the migration of Jacob's family into Egypt, but Sarah receives no expanded reflection at all. She is named, and then the discussion returns immediately to the men. Modern evangelical study Bibles tend to treat her the same way. The ESV Study Bible, one of the most widely used evangelical study Bibles today, simply acknowledges that she was the daughter of Asher, listed among the descendants of Jacob, who went down to Egypt. No story, no explanation, just a note that her presence in the genealogy is unusual because daughters were rarely named in these lists. The Bible Commentary, a major evangelical reference work, first edited by F.F. Bruce, takes a similar approach. It observes the genealogies in the Old Testament typically track male lineage, which makes the naming of a daughter noteworthy. but it offers no expanded narrative about her life. So in Christian interpretation, Sarah largely remains what the biblical text itself leaves us with: a name, a sister among brothers, a brief pause in a long list of men, and then the genealogy moves on. Why this matters? As we have already seen, the Bible itself barely pauses for Sarah. One line, and Sarah their sister. But later generations could not leave that silence alone. Jewish tradition expanded her life with songs, centuries of memory, and stories that connected Jacob to Moses. Christian commentary, on the other hand, mostly left her exactly where the Bible left her, a name in a list, and the contrast tells us something important. When a text gives us almost nothing about a woman, interpreters often feel pressure to explain why she is there. Sometimes they invent stories, sometimes they simply move on, but either way, the silence itself becomes the question. Why is she named? Why does the pattern break here? And when we start noticing those moments in the text, we begin to see the structure of the story more clearly. Who gets the narrative? Who gets the lineage? And who appears only briefly before the text returns to the men? Recognizing the pattern in Genesis. Now we need to pause and look at the pattern, because Sarah is not an isolated case. She is part of a pattern that runs all the way through Genesis. And once you start seeing the pattern, it becomes impossible to ignore. In Genesis, women do not simply appear in the story as people whose lives matter on their own terms. They appear because their presence supports the narrative of the men. Their bodies carry the lineage. Their actions move a man's story forward. Their suffering explains the actions of men. Their existence supports a covenant that is constantly described in male terms. Again and again, the structure of the story tells us the same thing. The men are the center of the narrative. The women orbit around them. And even when women are necessary to the story, they are rarely given space to exist as full characters. Often they are not even named. Their bodies matter, their presence matters, but their names do not, their voices do not, their inner lives do not. Take Sarah. Her story is not really about Sarah. Her story is about the promise of Isaac. Her body becomes the place where the covenant promise is fulfilled for Abraham. Rebecca appears next. Her role becomes clear very quickly. She is the woman who will give birth to Jacob. Her pregnancy becomes a vehicle through which the next generation of the covenant is explained. Rachel and Leah spend much of their story competing with one another over fertility. Why? Because the story needs to explain how the sons of Jacob come into existence. Their bodies become the mechanism that produces the 12 tribes. Hagar appears as a servant woman whose body is used to produce a son for Abraham when Sarah cannot conceive. Her suffering matters only insofar as it affects Abraham's household and the future of his lineage. Dinah finally appears in a story that seems like it might center a woman. But even there, the story ultimately explains the violent actions of her brothers and the political position of Jacob's sons. Her voice is never recorded. Potiphar's wife enters the narrative of Joseph. Her role? To test Joseph's righteousness and move the story toward prison and eventually toward power in Egypt. Asenath appears only long enough to explain where Joseph's sons came from. She is the mother of Ephraim and Manasseh, the next branches of the tribal lineage. And then we arrive at Sarah. No explanation, no narrative, just a name. And even that is unusual because very often in Genesis, women are not named at all. They are daughters, servants, concubines, wives. Their function in the story is clear, but their identity is not considered important enough to record. Their role is to support the story of men and then disappear from the page. But when a woman does not disappear, when her name remains in the text, when her presence lingers long enough to make readers ask questions, something else begins to happen. Later interpreters step in and they begin to reshape her story. They expand it, they rewrite it. They assign her a purpose that once again supports the larger narrative that centers men. So the pattern becomes clear. Women support the story. Women advance the lineage. Women make the narrative possible, but they are rarely centered. They are often unnamed, often erased. And when they cannot be erased, their stories are retold so the narrative can return to where it always seems to want to go. Back to the men, the sons, the fathers, the inheritance, the promise passed from man to man to man. And Sarah's story will become one of the clearest examples of exactly that. The pattern doesn't stay in the text, and this matters for a reason. Because the patterns we normalize in our sacred stories shape the way we see the world. When generation after generation grows up reading texts where men are the center of the narrative and women exist mainly to support in support roles, that structure begins to feel normal. It becomes invisible. Women become accustomed to being the background characters, the supporters, the ones whose lives revolve around someone else's story. And we see that pattern play out in the real world all the time. How many women have been raised to believe their purpose is to support a man's life, to build his home, raise his children, manage his household, support his career, sacrifice their own ambition so that his story can move forward? And many women do exactly what they were told to do. They give their time, their labor, their bodies, their entire lives, only to discover later that the narrative they built everything around was never really about them. And when that structure collapses through divorce, abandonment, or betrayal, many women find themselves starting over with far fewer resources and opportunities than the men whose lives they have helped build. We have seen stories like this play out in real life. One of the most infamous examples is Betty Broderick. Betty met Dan Broderick when they were both young. She supported him while he built his career, while he was going through medical school, while he was going through law school. She worked, she raised their children, she managed the household. She did all the things women had been told for generations were the right things to do. Support your husband, build the home, raise the children, sacrifice so his future can succeed. And Dan Broderick did succeed. He became wealthy, powerful, successful. And once he had everything he needed from that life she helped build, he left her. He left her for a younger woman. And suddenly the entire structure Betty had built her life around collapsed. The story she believed she was part of, the story where she was a partner, a wife, a builder of that life, was rewritten. She was no longer the woman who had supported the rise of that household. She became the angry ex-wife, the unstable woman, the problem. Eventually, that situation spiraled into tragedy. Betty Broderick went to the home where Dan Broderick and his new wife were sleeping and shot them both dead. It was a horrific crime. But the cultural conversation that followed often ignored the years of labor, sacrifice, and identity that had been poured into a life structured entirely around supporting a man's narrative. Her story had been rewritten, and the woman who helped build the life was erased from the version of the story that survived. And sometimes the erasure is quieter. Sometimes it happens in small conversations that reveal how quickly we forget the women who actually built something. Recently, I saw a conversation online after Bad Bunny appeared on Saturday Night Live. Someone began talking about Latino contributions to American television and entertainment. And one commenter started praising Desi Arnaz. The point of his comment was very clear. He was arguing that there would be no Star Trek without Desi Arnaz. He talked about Desi securing the syndication rights for I Love Lucy. He talked about how the money from that decision created Desilu Studios. And then he talked about how Desilu went on to produce shows like Star Trek. The implication was obvious. No Desi Arnaz, no Desilu, no Star Trek. That comment started getting thousands of likes. People agreeing, people praising Desi Arnaz, and the entire time something was missing from the story. Lucille Ball. Because Lucille Ball was not just an actress on I Love Lucy. She was the co-owner of Desilu. She was the head of that studio. And when Star Trek was brought to Desilu after the first pilot failed, it was Lucille Ball who pushed for the show to get a second chance. It was Lucille Ball who cast the deciding vote to finance a second pilot. It was Lucille Ball who used her authority inside Desilu to keep the project alive when other executives were skeptical. So I responded. I wrote, "Excuse me, but Lucy did that, not Desi. Don't take away the achievements of Lucille Ball and give them to her husband. That happens to women way too much. Lucille Ball played a pivotal role in the creation of Star Trek, using her power as a producer to advocate for the show and finance a second pilot after the first failed. Ball was the deciding vote at her studio, Desilu, and believed in the project despite skepticism from other executives and her own board. She even used her own money to ensure that the show got another chance. Ball's support is considered a major reason Star Trek has endured into the 21st century. The original comment had thousands of likes. Mine had a fraction. His comment was inaccurate. Mine was the correction. But that is exactly how these patterns work. The man gets remembered. The woman who actually made the decision disappears from the story. Lucille Ball helped build Desilu. Lucille Ball greenlit Star Trek. Lucille Ball risked her own money and reputation to give that show another chance. And yet, in casual conversation, people still retell that story as if the achievement belonged to the man. Because the pattern has been normalized for centuries. Women build, women support, women carry the story forward, and their names quietly disappear from the narrative. Which is why recognizing the pattern in these texts matters, because once you learn to see it in scripture, you start seeing it everywhere. Recognizing the pattern for ourselves. And this is where the conversation becomes uncomfortable. Because it's one thing to recognize these patterns in the ancient text. It's another thing entirely to recognize them in our own lives. When we are deconstructing from religion, we often spend a lot of time examining theology. We question doctrines. We question the authority of Scripture. I'm starting to talk like Joel. We question the institutions that taught us these things. But one thing that often goes unexamined is the internalized misogyny that many of us carry with us because we were raised inside a deeply patriarchal system. And here's the uncomfortable truth. Even if you are one of the most feminist badass bitches on the planet, you may still find yourself centering men. Because the system we live in was designed to teach us to do exactly that. Now, let me be clear about something. Sometimes people have to navigate systems strategically. I am not stupid. Sometimes in order to survive inside a system, you have to learn how to play the system. There have been times when I have been arguing with a man and realized that he literally cannot hear me. Not because my argument is weak, not because my reasoning is flawed, but because I am too much woman for him to handle. And in those moments, I have done something very deliberate. I have turned to one of the men in my life and said, "Would you repeat what I just said?" Because suddenly, when the exact same message comes out of a man's voice with a little bass in it, the man who could not hear me before suddenly understands the point. That is not what I am talking about here. That is strategy. That is recognizing the system and maneuvering inside of it. What I am talking about is something different. I am talking about the moments when we center men unconsciously. When we shrink ourselves, when we silence ourselves, when we fail to support other women, when we give our attention, our money, and our loyalty to male voices while women doing the same work struggle to be heard. Think about the shows we watch. How many reality shows revolve around the same narrative? Marriage, marriage, marriage. A woman's ultimate goal is to find a husband. Shows like Love is Blind or Married at First Sight, and a dozen other variations of the same storyline. The entire premise is built on the idea that a woman's life becomes complete when she finds a man. Every time we support those narratives, we reinforce the same cultural script. Look at the creators we support online. How often do we subscribe to male creators? How often do we send them gifts, donations, and super chats? And yet women doing the exact same work, sometimes better work, are fighting for a fraction of that support. Women like Thinker, women like Born Again Atheists, women like Rabbi Hannah, voices doing the same labor, spreading the same messages, often with less recognition and less financial backing. And if we are honest, sometimes the reason is simple. We have been conditioned to treat male voices as more authoritative, more trustworthy, more worthy of attention. And the pattern even shows up in something as everyday as fashion. The industry that tells women how they are supposed to look is largely controlled by men. Women make up the overwhelmingly majority of the customer base, but men hold most of the C-suite positions. Men hold many of the creator-director roles. Men often control the companies that define what women's bodies should look like, what women should wear, and what beauty is supposed to mean. Only about 25% of board-level positions in fashion are held by women. And even in women's wear brands, fewer than half are actually designed by women. So the standard women are told to chase, the clothes, the beauty ideals, the messaging, are often being shaped through a male gaze. Women are the consumers, but men are still frequently the ones defining the rules. And sometimes the centering happens in quieter ways. A man talks over us. A man speaks louder than us, and instead of pushing back, we lower our voice. We let the conversation shift toward him. We let him occupy the center of the room. And the uncomfortable truth is that even the most committed feminists can still find themselves slipping into these patterns. I know I do. There are moments when I catch myself shrinking, moments when I realize I'm trying to make myself smaller, quieter, more agreeable so that a man will take me seriously. And when that happens, I have to stop and recognize what is happening, because these patterns are not just out there in the real world, they live inside of us. They are the residue of centuries of systems that taught women to orbit around men, which means that deconstruction cannot stop with theology. It cannot stop with questioning scriptures. It has to extend into our everyday lives. Women have to start supporting other women more intentionally, financially, socially, professionally. We have to listen to women's voices. Promote women's work, support women-owned businesses. We have to become financially smarter, politically aware, advocates for each other. And sometimes that means intentionally overcorrecting, because the system has been off balance for centuries. And balance does not magically appear on its own. It takes conscious effort. It takes awareness. It takes courage. It takes women recognizing the moments when we are unconsciously centering men and deliberately choosing to center ourselves instead. So back to Sarah. And now we go back to Sarah, because after all this, after the patterns, after the analysis, after the stories about how women disappear from the narrative, we have to come back to the woman who started the conversation, Sarah. And Sarah, their sister. That's all we get. And I'll be honest with you, when I read these stories, I sometimes feel real grief. I sit quietly in my room and I try to imagine who she was. What was her life like? What kind of jokes made her laugh? What was her favorite food? Did she play music? Did she play an instrument other than the harp that later traditions decided to assign to her? What kind of personality did she have? Was she loud Was she funny? Was she thoughtful? Was she stubborn? Did she argue with her brothers? Did she have dreams? Did she have fears? Did she ever imagine that thousands of years later, someone would be sitting in a room trying to imagine who she was? Her name means more than enough. More than enough. And yet she was still not enough to be given her own story. Not enough to be given her own voice. Not enough to be remembered as anything more than a passing line in a genealogy. And I mourn that. I mourn it because I was told that this was the book of the God of the universe. I was told that this God loved me just as much as he loved any other person on this earth. But when I go to look for myself in the text, when I go searching for representation because representation matters, I struggle to find it. What I find instead are women who disappear, women who are silenced, women who are erased, women whose stories are retold from someone else's perspective. And it's hard to connect to a story when you cannot find yourself inside of it. So I mourn. I mourn Sarah, I mourn Dina, I mourn Naama, I mourn Asenath. I mourn all of those women whose stories were never told. I mourn all those little girls who grew up reading these stories and were told that this book represented them too. Because when you look closely at the narrative, the heroes are always men. The saviors are always men. The voices that matter are always men. And yet we know in real life that women are pivotal. We know women save the day. We know women build families, build communities, build movements, build entire worlds. But this book tells a different stories, and Sarah stands inside that text like a warning sign, a red flag. She is the moment where the reader should stop and ask a question. Why is she here? Why is she named? Why do we know almost nothing about her? She stands there quietly in the genealogy, but if we are paying attention, she is telling us something. She's telling us to notice the pattern. She's telling us to recognize what happens to women in these stories. She is telling us, do not let them erase you the way they erased me. Do not let them retell your story the way they retold mine. Do not let them silence you. She is telling us to see her, and maybe even more importantly, she is telling us to see ourselves, to recognize the pattern in the text, to recognize these same patterns in our lives, and then to refuse to participate in them. Because once the pattern becomes visible, the silence around these women stops feeling accidental. And once you recognize that silence, you have a choice about whether you allow it to continue. I know that sometimes when you hear me live and there's a man on the panel and Dark Crystal shows up, it can sound like I've completely lost control. Because I will talk right over that man. I will keep talking even while he is talking. Sometimes I will even start saying complete nonsense just to keep the sound in the room filled so that he cannot take over the conversation. And I know that can be aggravating to listen to, especially for people like me who have ADHD, because hearing multiple people talk over each other can be incredibly overstimulating. I know that. But here's the honest truth. Sometimes when Dark Crystal comes out, I can't control her. And in that moment, she's not just speaking for me. She's speaking for every woman like Sarah, whose voice was never recorded. She's speaking for the women who were talked over, the women who were written out, the women whose stories were retold by someone else. She's refusing to be quiet. She's refusing to be erased. She refuses to let someone rewrite the story by simply talking louder and taking the center of the room. Because sometimes the only way to stop erasure is to refuse silence. And maybe you don't need an alter ego like Dark Crystal, but you do need to ask yourself a question. What are you going to do differently starting today? What is one thing you can do to stop centering men? What is one thing you can do to deconstruct the internal misogyny that this patriarchal system has embedded in you? The next time a man interrupts you, what will you do? Will you apologize and let him speak? Or will you say, I was not finished speaking, do not interrupt me? The next time you open YouTube, who are you supporting? Are you giving your attention, your membership, your support, your super chats, and your money to men? Are you supporting women doing the same work? Maybe today you go look up Thinker. Maybe you go look up Born Again Atheist. Maybe you go listen to Girls Gone Godless. Maybe you check out the podcast, What the Fuck Bible Stories. Maybe you subscribe to anti-sermons. Because supporting women's voices is not complicated. Sometimes it's as simple as choosing to listen. Maybe you look at your bank statement and you ask yourself how much money you are giving to male creators every month. Maybe you go look at all the products in your bathroom and you ask yourself if any of them come from companies owned by women. Maybe you decide to start supporting women-owned businesses more intentionally. I don't care what the choice is. What I care about is that it is deliberate. Because the system we inherited was built to center men automatically. So if we want to change it, we have to start making conscious choices. Intentional choices. Deliberate choices. Choices that center women. Choices that center ourselves. Sarah is standing there in the text like a red flag, like a warning sign. And she is asking every single one of us the same question now that you see the pattern. What are you going to do about it? And that's today's anti-sermon.
Well, that was amazing.
You know,
Yeah, you're back.
It's not letting me change my background for some reason. I'm going to try one more time. It won't let me change it. But we can still have conversations if people want to come up.
That was amazing.
Anybody wants? Thank you. Any questions or commentaries? If anybody wants to come up and talk about the sermon or the Bible study or ask a question or anything, the guest box is open. You're free to come up. I think that a lot of people only know people like Deborah the Judge, and that's why I'm going through and talking about all the women in the Bible, because since so few were named, I find it very cliche when people say things like, I like Deborah the Judge. That's because you only know Deborah the Judge. There's so many women you don't know about because they didn't tell their stories. And I think that's the purpose of the anti-sermons, you know?
You know what I like about Dinah? Her
What?
original story doesn't have her being raped. It has her choosing Shechem, and the priestly layer adds her being raped as a way to justify why her two brothers went and slaughtered everyone.
Oh, wow.
And the
When we went over her story.
Yeah, in her original story, she
Oh, go ahead.
chooses Shechem. And
Oh, wow.
it only shows that he spoke to her heart and she responded, and that then he went to her father and is like, I love your daughter and I wish to, whatever you want from me, I will do so that I can marry her. And she's like, yes, I want this too. And then her brothers go through and still slaughter everyone because they didn't like the idea that she chose for herself. So they
wow. Where is the original
layer
story?
That he raped. So it is in you see it in the Dead Sea Scrolls, but it's added in the priestly layer that shows the addition of her being violated.
Oh my goodness.
Are you okay?
I'm sorry, I fell. No, my whole
okay?
bookshelf fell over. Yes, I'm fine. Hang on one second. My little bookshelf fell over. I'll pick you up just a second. I gotta. Oh my goodness. No. Let's all go that way. So sorry. Okay, we're okay. Okay, I have a lot of books, and they need a new bookshelf, really is what it is. And they're on my desk, and they all decided to tip over because I pulled out my little copy of the Dead Sea Scrolls. So it was a structural book, and I didn't know that.
If you go to, there's a website that I love called Siddur.org. Now, it only does the Torah. It doesn't do Christian because it is a Jewish website. Not in the original story. No, he did not.
Okay, how do I spell Siddur?
Siddur. OpenSiddur.com. Or is it .org? Hold on, I think it's .org. Let me pull it up. It's .org, yeah. So it has all of the narratives color-coded by their layers in which they were written, and it will tell you what the layers are, and even give you footnotes as to information as to when they were added, the whole bit.
Well, for some reason my iPad doesn't want to bring that, but I have it bookmarked, so that's cool. That's really interesting. So,
what I'll do is I'll send you the Parsha, because they have it by Parsha because it's a Jewish website. So I'll send you the Parsha, and you can see for yourself. You just go to the section of Dinah, and it will show you by color coding when the layers were added.
That's cool. I also read because we did Dinah's story already, and I was learning about how there is some midrash where they tell a story where she is Job's wife. And so after her going through everything she went through, they are also saying she's the woman who loses 10 children in one day. And that's just crazy to me. Did she suffer enough?
Get out there, I'll tell you.
I've noticed that because I'm starting to study a lot of the midrash, and it's like, what? Could you leave these women alone?
Now, some midrashists I love. There are some midrash that I absolutely adore, like the oven of Achnai, where we tell God to go piss off. I do like that one, and I do know some modern midrashists like Rabbi Jill Hammer that I absolutely adore. I think that she is a wonderful midrashist, but there's a lot of midrash that I read and go, what were you thinking? How on God's green earth did you come up with that?
I don't know why it won't let me change my background. That's gonna bug me.
It won't let you change it at all?
I click on the new background and then it just stays this one. You guys, the guest box is open. If you want to come up, if the rabbi has time, a lot of times she doesn't mind answering questions. So do you mind answering questions?
I don't mind. I literally am playing Sims while I'm talking to you.
How fun. I haven't played Sims in so long. So if you want to come up and ask Rabbi a question, or if you have a question about the Bible study today, or if you want to talk to me about this sermon, please feel free to come up. Sims, which version of Sims is what they want to know?
4.
Okay, there you go.
And I have all of the add-ons. If my family collectively plays Sims, so we have all of the add-ons. We have everything. If it is a part of Sims, we've been playing since I was a beta tester for the first Sims.
Oh wow, that's cool. Hey brother, can I get your age for TikTok?
Over 40.
Okay. What were you going to say, Rabbi?
Oh, Ike mentioned, I don't think people know what you meant by priestly layers. So there's a thing called the documentary hypothesis. The documentary hypothesis proposes that the Bible books, the books of the text, were built in layers. They were not written all at once, and the core layer happens at the earliest, and then these other layers are added to expand the narrative, to clarify things, to help clean up genealogies, and those each layers have a specific time period in which they were added. The priestly layer is one of those, and the priestly layer kind of goes through to demythologize to kind of take away this idea of mysticism and mythology from the layers, to try and kind of clean it and make it more not sane but sacred. So the priestly layer is the one that is these authors went into and added the narrative that Dinah was attacked as justification for why her brothers then wipe out Shechem and his family.
So, Rabbi, can I ask you, is that kind of the Council of is the
Hello.
Council of Nicaea
Yo,
within
guys.
that timeline?
I'm so sorry. I could not hear you
Hello.
well, brother. I apologize.
So, yeah, I was just going to say.
I'm sorry. Listen, just really quick, brother. Hang on. Let me say this really quick. If you come up on a live, mute yourself. People are talking. They're trying to have a conversation, and you kind of going, and all that stuff in the mic. It's just so unnecessary. Be a grown adult, mute yourself, and allow people to finish their conversation. I'm sorry, brother. Rabbi, continue your conversation.
I do apologize. Yeah, I didn't hear you at all.
Yeah, so Rabbi, we're talking about the Bible, right? I just wanted to kind of, it's the Christian Bible, I take it, yes?
I don't talk about the Christian Bible. I talk about the Hebrew text.
Oh, okay, so the Hebrew text. Now, so this is interesting because I'm so glad that I'm speaking to you, I've got to say, because I don't really know enough about kind of Judaism and the texts, other than was it kind of? I mean, I look at it from a point of view of where the texts kind of come from, and in the Abrahamic kind of faith system, I think Moses received the Torah, I believe it kind of, was it Mount Sinai, directly from kind of God. So, I mean, in terms of direct revelation, that's kind of like a gold standard, right? And
well, it would depend if you're talking about academically or if you're talking about theologically.
Well, yes, I'd say theologically. Academically, you could probably rip any scripture apart, because in order for it to stand up, it needs outside verification. I mean, because scripture has a wonderful habit of confirming itself, and in order to kind of determine the veracity of it and the legitimacy of it, you need other non-believers or other kind of parties that were present at the time that can confirm those events. Otherwise, you get caught into a sort of fallacious kind of circular roulette of scripture, reaffirming scripture, which then you can't deny because it requires faith.
Well, I will say this, theologically speaking, yes, the tradition states that Moses received the Torah at Mount Sinai.
Mm-hmm. And so what I'm interested in is because I think when you look across the prophethood, or kind of the Abrahamic faiths, Judaism, Christianity, and Islam, standing outside, kind of looking in, I'd say that because sort of Moses essentially received that revelation directly from God, is kind of what I would term a theological gold standard. And then when you look at in Islam, the Prophet Muhammad received his via kind of God's agent, as we like to call him, the angel Jibril or Gabriel. And so again, we've got direct revelation by those two forms, and scripture that comes from that direct revelation. Christianity is slightly different because the supposition is that Jesus was that revelation in the flesh. So the way that he walked and talked, and his life was representative of his revelation, because the Bible itself is somewhat of a manufactured document. This is my take on it. Not divine in nature, not kind of direct revelation. What are your thoughts on that? First of all, as an overview.
I don't have thoughts in regards to anything that has anything to do with Christianity. Judaism and Christianity are two separate religious beliefs, and we have been separated.
What is the question?
We have been separated for over 2,000 years. So I don't really think about Christianity. I don't think about Jesus or the revelation of Jesus because I'm a Jew, and it's not something that is in my worldview.
So they're not even considered prophets. So which would the last prophet be under the Judaic faith?
The last prophet, probably the last prophet. Hold on a second, and I could tell you, but you'll have to give me a minute. That's a good question, actually. I would not be able to tell you right off the top of my head, but I can get the answer for you.
Hey, Jesse, how are you today?
But we don't really have Judeo-Christian. The idea of Judeo-Christian isn't really a thing, because there are Jewish values and there are Christian values, and they are not the same.
And I often hear this, but kind of when I look at the three faiths, they're all essentially kind of the sons of Abraham in a roundabout way. That's the linkage right there. Between Isaac, which Christianity and Judaism kind of sprang forth from, and Ishmael, where Islam kind of comes from, and so there's a difference between. I think I read about it once, between the covenant that God made and also the promise, and so that's kind of the separation of. But there is a linkage there. That's what I find quite interesting, that we kind of can't deny if or kind of from a genealogy perspective, at least from a scriptural perspective. I take your point.
So I think that whether or not it's from a scriptural perspective or not, I think that what you're doing is a disservice, because I don't think that you know very much about Judaism. So to put us and link us to Christianity is a misnomer. Yeah. We are nothing like Christianity.
But what would you say?
The reality is
which I thought it was, but it's Malachi.
It is Malachi. What would you say? The reality is that Christianity, the reality is that Christianity and Islam appropriated Judaism. So you can't really compare those.
But Judaism appropriated Judaism. Didn't you take the idea from a monotheistic God from Zoroaster?
Judaism?
Well, Zoroastrianism was technically the first monotheistic faith.
Yeah, you're correct that Zoroastrianism is, but we actually more developed from Canaanite polytheism into henotheism, and then we're forced into monotheism by King Hezekiah and Josiah.
Yeah, so this is interesting, because I do, because I think this is one of the things that I had, and admittedly, as I said, I've posted my colours to the mast. I don't know a great deal about Judaism, but I do know that there was a pantheon of gods. It was very much kind of polytheistic at the start, and morphed into monotheism. That would be correct, right?
Yeah, it started out as polytheism. We started out underneath the Canaanite umbrella, and then became henotheistic, which is kind of what we are still to this day, is henotheistic.
But
monotheism rose because of King Josiah and Hezekiah.
Yeah. So this to me presents an amazing kind of paradox and contradiction, in that how can you fundamentally believe or take as absolute truth a faith system that changes its character, its very definition of God, as a movable feast?
How does Christianity do it?
Well, Christianity is a misnomer. As I said, I kind of don't necessarily believe in the scripture, because all of that is written post the death of Jesus, from non-divine sources.
I think that this is where you don't understand Judaism. We don't believe in absolute truth.
Okay, now this is interesting. Okay, so okay, and what
What
would
if
you
I
define as
told you,
absolute truth?
brother, what if I told you that she doesn't even believe Moses was real?
I don't believe
What if I
Moses was
told you
real.
that?
I love this.
That the
So now,
Exodus didn't happen.
yeah,
Oh,
but
the
this is
Exodus did
great.
not happen. No.
This is great because essentially what we have then are kind of parables and kind of mythological stories, which I think a lot of these you can kind of date back to a retelling of Sumerian tales and Mesopotamian stories, right?
Well, Mesopotamian, Akkadian, Canaanite. Yeah. I mean, the Epic of Gilgamesh is where we derive the flood narrative. Most
Yeah,
likely, it's a reframed flood narrative. We have the
absolutely.
reframing creation stories, but this is academic, not theological.
Yeah, so this is interesting, bearing in mind that we know this, right? And it's kind of like almost an indisputable fact. Why hold so fast to something that is essentially a created fiction? What? Because
Everything is a created fiction, my love. And when you say hold to
absolutely,
so fast against when I just told you Judaism doesn't have absolute truth,
yeah.
it's like that didn't hit for you.
No, it did hit. It did, but
I think that
that's
you
why
really
it it
want to
it really
like
did hit.
get
No,
into
hold
it.
on, hold on. It
You,
actually it did hit because my kind of follow up question to that and when I come from that frame of reference, it's I could put the Torah down on the left hand side of my table. I could put Hans Christian Andersen's fairy tales on the right, and I could equally believe both because what they are
so
is
are you an atheist?
no, I'm not, but I'm just I'm
What are you?
following. I'm actually not, but the point is that
But what are
what I
you?
what am I is a human being that has the ability to
No, what are
discern,
you
question
religiously? You
beliefs.
know what I'm asking you. What are you? You said you're not an atheist, so what are you? What is
I
your
do believe
God?
in.
What do you believe?
Well, here's the thing. So the interesting thing with what we're trying to do there is to put a label and to box a
Yes, I
religion,
want
and
to
I don't
know
think
what
one
your
is
belief
necessary.
system is. And I really hate when people do this.
Yeah,
It drives me absolutely
no,
crazy.
but because
I'm
what?
asking you a very
Why?
simple question. Watch this. Watch this. Devil's public defender. Are you an atheist?
Yep.
Okay, Rabbi, are you an atheist?
I am not.
What are you?
I'm an agnostic theist.
Okay, see how everybody can do that really easy? I'm an ig-theist with an I. So what are you?
A theist.
A theist. Okay, see, that wasn't that hard. Why do
No.
people make it this big, huge, mysterious thing? We all know that we have something that we identify with, and it helps us have a conversation with you better if we know what your belief system is so we can understand you better, okay? It doesn't
Yeah,
have to be a big thing when somebody asks you a simple question
but
like that.
but here's the thing: the reason that we asked that question in the first place is because you're trying to frame a reference, and I'm actually against that because I think that you should question every belief, and if you don't have the ability to deconstruct what your own belief system is and stand in that position as if it was true, I don't think that's intellectually honest.
And
And
why did
And
she say
that's
she
why
doesn't?
I'm an ig-theist. Do you know what an
In what way?
ig-theist
no,
is?
no, you can explain it to me.
Yeah. An ichtheist is somebody who says, you know what? I don't think we can really define a God because everybody seems to have a different definition of what that is. And therefore, I don't see any reason to believe in any of them because we don't even know what one is. Okay. So, I do question it all, and asking you is so I can better understand you when we're having these conversations.
Yeah. So I mean, I'd say that. Well, I definitely wouldn't hold to that position. I wouldn't say I'm an atheist, um, because I come from more of an experiential kind of path, and where not kind of scripture led, where you have experiences, you question them, you have other experiences, you question them, you kind of variously go through scripture and you find resonance with kind of your experience. So you come to a knowing. Now, a knowing is different from a belief. To believe in something literally means I do not know. I do not know, which is why
I don't
you have
need
to
you to
have faith.
explain knowing and believing to me because
Sure.
I do really well with vocabulary.
Great.
Hang on one second. Hey, Jesse, did you have a question for Rabbi?
Yeah, I did. It was about the passage we were reading earlier in Numbers 35. So I don't know if we went into a pretty different
Okay,
thing
go
than
ahead.
whatever's.
No, that's okay. Let's talk about it.
Awesome. So I was just curious, Rabbi, if you had any insight into why the death of the high priest would terminate that exile. I've read some different ideas on it, but nobody seems to really have like one real answer. So I was just really curious.
Because it marks the start of a new era, because then you have a new high priest who comes in. One who is not, one who, in fact, hold on a minute. Let me pull it back up.
It seems so arbitrary. Like, no, like what if it happens the next day?
This is a people who everything that they do is predicated by the priestly class. They go to the priestly class for everything. So for atonement, for understanding what they're supposed to do, for Sabbath, for everything is this priestly class. So the high priest is really who helps to curate and create the environment in which the people live. Hold on a second. I got to get there. Where was I? I had put my Humash away already. I apologize.
Do not apologize. And you guys keep tapping the screen, sharing out the live, doing all the good stuff. And thank you so much for 44,000 likes and for the 22 heart me's. If you haven't sent your heart me and collected your team points, make sure you go do that. And all the popular votes and all the gifts. I really appreciate it. Make sure you gift the amazing Rabbi Hannah as well. And anybody you want up here.
Give me just a second. Let me check another one of my sources really quick, because I'm reading it, but I want to check and see if this is now where I get to go check out the Talmud. Hold on a second.
I've got a follow-up question afterwards, if you don't mind, which is kind of related.
Absolutely. Hey, Ashra. Hey, Corpseman. Good to have you in. Good to see you, Ash. Welcome in, Deborah. Good to see everybody. Ty here. Thank you for your heart me. Your heart matters. I know, I don't say it like him. Your heart. No, I can't do that.
You were pretty close. You were pretty close.
I need to get my microphone and do the little voice changer on it, and then I could do it.
Oh, that would be amazing. Maybe you could get like a deep voice setting so like men could hear you.
Yes, if I just put a little bass in there, though. Oh, I hear you.
Yeah, that's what I thought. It's because when the high priest dies, it symbolically is a national atonement event, resetting the impurity caused by any bloodshed, which is what, So when all of the belief is that the land itself could be polluted, and it could be polluted by bloodshed.
Mm-hmm.
The death or the death of a high priest, because there will be a new high priest ascending, resets that almost like a Shemitah or a celebration year that resets the land so that everything is wiped clean and we start over. Because the high priest represents the whole nation. The high priest carries Israel's guilt symbolically. That's why you go to the high priest for your atonement. He represents the entire people before God. So his death marks the end of his moral era. So in that sense, anyone who's accidentally, like the accidental unaliver's guilt is tied to the priestly area the priestly era in which like that death occurred.
Oh, okay. Well, that's really interesting, and thanks so much for digging into finding the answer
I had
there.
to look it up. I thought I had it right, but I wanted to just make sure. And yeah, so I went to Mishnah Machot, and I'm like, yep, that's what it
Interesting.
Can we
I read
heard?
some.
No, that's it. I was just replying to somebody in chat. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I read some interesting ideas about it, but that's
I'm sure
that makes the most sense of anything I've heard. So thank you.
Is that, had anybody ever explained it that way prior to today?
I had not seen that. I didn't like do a bunch of research on it or anything like that. Just browsing around the Judaism Stack Exchange and seeing what people were saying.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
So,
no, I think that's
Okay,
Stack Exchange is pretty cool.
Yeah, it's super interesting.
Brother, did you have a question?
Yeah, I was going to ask the rabbi about this kind of mercurial sort of character that I think, was it Abraham or was it Moses? Like, I'm trying to remember. Melchizedek.
Yes, which just means righteous king.
Yeah, but because I'm trying to remember who it was that that received their prophethood from him. Would that have been...
How is that a follow-up question to what Devil just asked me?
No, but because it in terms of, you mentioned kind of high priest, I believe that Melchizedek was one.
No, sort of, but it isn't a name of a person. Melchizedek just means righteous king. Melech Zedek.
Yeah. So and I don't know, because I know that I don't know the story or how it kind of relates, but I know through the Islamic lens that Moses is supposed to have met this particular figure before kind of receiving his kind of prophethood, or was blessed by him, I think, and I think, if I'm correct, you can only receive a blessing from someone, or through the through the Judaic tradition, from someone that holds a status higher than you. And so
what is this? I'm trying to figure out, why are you using what Islam has to say as a comparison to what Judaism has to say?
Well, that's why I'm asking you what Judaism is saying indirectly. That's what I'm actually asking you.
Well, it would be awesome if you spoke English. Like, both of us speak English, but we're not speaking the same
Well, I'm
English.
speaking. I asked you quite directly.
Answered you quite directly.
You just said High King.
That's no, I didn't. I said it means divinity. Righteous king. I didn't say High King. I said it means righteous king. Melech Zedek. But it does not state who it is. It doesn't give you a name. I'm so sorry that the middle of my sentence interrupted the first of yours. But all it means is righteous king. I did not give you a person, because no person is named. It just says that Abraham is, I believe it's Abraham, is blessed by the Melech Zedek. That's it. The righteous king.
King of Salem, right?
That actually might be correct.
Priest of God Most High is another name for him. And the reason I'm asking,
you're going to have to give me a minute. I'm going to have to say the Shema. Give me just a second.
Yeah.
Chet said yes. You guys, thanks for being here. Thanks for tapping the screen. I'm sorry, what, Jess?
Sorry. I said I don't think this is really connected to what I was asking about. So you can drop me.
I don't think so either. Okay, thanks for being here, and I'll see you tomorrow. Huh?
Yeah. Excited.
Bye.
Come learn the Hebrew alphabet, people.
Hell yeah. See you then.
All right, thanks.
The Hebrew alphabet is pretty cool. So sorry, I needed a moment. So as I was saying, I don't understand the need to try and connect Islam to Judaism. Islam is its own.
Fine. Okay, Genesis 14,
Yes, what about it?
18 to 20, I think it mentions him there.
Okay, yes, what about it?
No, I'm asking you. I mean, this is your scripture, not mine.
But what are you
What are you asking about it
exactly?
though? I don't.
About the nature.
Can I be real honest with you, brother? I feel like you didn't come up here to learn stuff, but instead kind of share some of the little pieces of knowledge you have, and then try to take that knowledge and try to make a conversation.
Let me be
Again,
clear.
with the middle of I don't understand why the middle of crystal sentence interrupts the first of yours.
All right, can I just be very clear about this?
But can you let me finish what I'm saying? Can you let me finish what I'm saying before you start talking?
Go for it.
Okay. The way it has sounded is that you are coming up here to share knowledge you have and try to make a conversation out of your knowledge that you already have with the rabbi to like show everybody something or whatever. It doesn't feel like a genuine conversation with genuine questions. It feels very, very much like you just came up here so everybody could hear what you know.
Okay, that's not the case, because I genuinely am. I've come across this kind of character, Melchizedek, who does fascinate me, and having looked a little bit into it, it's a bit of a stumbling block for me, and so I know that this is part of the Judaic tradition. So I'm honest in this. I just want to know if you can shed any light on it for me, so it's genuine. Now, I'm sorry if my manner has kind of put forward any other intention than that, but I don't like contention. I don't like arguments. I'm genuinely someone that is a spiritual seeker and a learner, and trying to pick up knowledge. And
my apologies. You're still speaking.
Yeah, no, but that's me in a nutshell. And an apology.
Okay, so the thing is that you say I'm asking you a question, but you don't actually ask me a question. So what is your question about Melchizedek?
My question about him is that he appears incredibly mysterious. He seems to, because he blesses Abraham, what I read was that you can only receive a blessing by someone who holds a higher rank, sort of spiritually, than the person that's being blessed. So the reason why this fascinates me is because, and I know you mentioned earlier on that this isn't a kind of case in genealogy, and because as a Jew you would kind of deny the existence or the legitimacy of Christianity and Islam. I don't have a dog in any of these races, right? So I kind of stand outside of it, and I see the linkage that the three faiths come from the essentially the sons of Abraham, Ishmael and Isaac. So then Abraham becomes a pivotal figure that links the three, and so someone who blesses Abraham, who has a higher potentially spiritual rank, because you have to in the Judaic tradition to receive a blessing, becomes an incredibly important character. And the fact that he's mercurial and not a lot is known about him just adds to the mystery. And so that's why I'm interested in this character. And I was just hoping that you could shed a little bit more light. Because everywhere I've looked, he just becomes more mysterious, not less.
He does become more mysterious, but again, so you said, I have a question. Then you said, I looked up Melchizedek, and what I've read, he's this mercurial person, and here's why it's important to me.
Yeah.
What is your question?
My question is, what would be someone, how would we classify Melchizedek when he has the ability to bless Abraham, who is essentially a prophet? What in spiritual terms is someone higher than a prophet? Because technically, prophets held the highest rank. They were messengers that delivered a message to a people, a nation at that time. And they came, and if you follow kind of the lines of the prophets, they all came with
But
different
wouldn't
messages.
we? You know what? I gotta stop you because your question
Yeah.
ends up being a dissertation
Sorry,
every time,
sorry.
and we lose
Yeah.
it. Okay.
What do
But
we call
also,
someone that is?
why
Yeah, you're right.
why would you think that the prophet is higher than a priest? You couldn't even go into the temple unless you were a priest of the highest order. So what are you talking about?
No, but that's
So-
what I'm trying to understand. So I'm trying to understand what
that's
is the
all that-
spiritual hierarchy here.
That's all the Melchizedek was. It says he was a priest of the God Most High. And all he does is bless Abraham by saying, "Blessed be Abram by the God Most High, maker of heaven and earth. And blessed be the God Most High, who has delivered you from your enemies, who has delivered your enemies into your hand." And Abraham then gave him a tenth of everything because you tithe to the priest.
Okay. So this is interesting then, because now what I'm trying to understand is so this is great because for me you're throwing a spanner in the works. So would a priest rank as higher than a prophet at that time or not? And if a priest is ranked higher than a prophet, why aren't the names of these priests more prominent than the prophets? Surely the scriptures should have come from them rather than
Aaron, the Levites. What are you talking about?
Just trying to understand.
But they are listed. There's like entire chapters that do nothing but tell you how Aaron has to be dressed, okay? And every detail about that garment down
The
to
ephod.
yeah, what are you talking about? They definitely talk about the priests and they give them so much. And we just went over in Numbers about like their boundaries and their land that they're to be given and everything. What are you talking about? I don't feel like you've read any of this.
No, but that I said.
Hang on one second. Let me ask Mindset really quick if he has a question. Mindset, can I get your age for TikTok purposes?
Yeah, hey, how you doing? I'm 41.
Nice to meet you. Are you a Christian or a believer of the God of the Bible?
No.
Okay, did you have a question today for the rabbi?
Yes, I did.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm when I asked the rabbi, what's the deeper meaning behind the usage of water? I see it being utilized as cleansing rites, and then I look at it in Noah's flood, it being used in judgment. The priest, Aaron, they had to wash themselves before they got in the temple or bathe themselves in the bronze laver. What's just the deeper meaning behind the water, and when did that start?
Well, we have that water from the very beginning. If you look at the very beginning of creation, God literally breathed over the waters of the deep and said, "Let there be light." So we have water at the very beginning of creation. Water becomes this powerful thing because it is part of the act of creation itself. I'm so sorry.
Oh, you got
bars.
bars, Mindset.
Can you hear me now?
Try again, Mindset. I think.
Yeah, now
I can hear you.
Yeah. So okay. So therefore, when it was utilized on Exodus before the Israelites received the law on Mount Sinai, God told them to wash their clothes. What is He trying to get them to understand when He tells them to wash their clothes? How come He did not tell them just wash your body? What is the washing the clothes supposed to signify?
Well, even any utensil, any wall, any house, any sheet, anything can become impure. So it's not just people, but anything can become impure. And if the goal is to be ultimately pure, then everything needs to be washed. And I was just going to add also, like, birthing waters is like a part of this. So like the purest something can be is in the womb state. And so in this, the idea that the soul is ultimately pure is the idea that water is what creates that sense of purity. So remove the Christian sensibilities from anything and understand it simply from the Jewish perspective.
Yeah. So,
Okay.
I don't know if you were here earlier, but we were talking about how the land itself can be polluted. It is the land itself acts as almost as its own character within the biblical text, and so in that, things around it can help to pollute it. So making sure that the objects, the people, the things are as pure as possible also helps to try and keep the land itself in its purest state.
Okay. Okay. And my last question, Rabbi, is what explain the kingdom of God that the Israelites were waiting for the Messiah uh, and to come. Can you explain that as far as like kind of just the kingdom of God and everything that went into that?
I'm so sorry. Can you reframe that for me, because I'm having a difficulty understanding, and it might be communication on my part, absolutely. But what you're saying, I'm not quite picking up on.
So I'm saying, so the kingdom of God, right? I think, I mean, or let me rephrase. They were hoping for them. They were hoping for a future. They are hoping for a future Messiah, correct? And which is what the prophet spoke about, right?
There's been a lot of Messiah just means like anointed one. So when you're talking about a Messiah, I think that you might be coming from it from like a Christian viewpoint, even if you're not a Christian. But we exist in a world where the term Messiah ultimately is tantamount and equitable to this idea of a Christian Messiah. So there's been lots of Messiahs. Even the priests are called anointed ones if you look into the text in the Hebrew. So this idea of this ultimate Messiah does not really stand true as much with Judaism, because we've had lots. Like there's been some, and there's been some that we think have been more. Like the ultimate Messiah is more of a Christian concept than it is a Jewish one.
Okay, okay, and I have a lot of questions, but I promise this is my last one. Can you when Solomon when when God asked Solomon, ask me anything and I'll give you. Why did He give him wisdom? Like, because David was a man after God's own heart, had that
Mm-hmm.
relationship. So why did He give him wisdom if He knew that wisdom would kind of separate him from him? As we see, he kind of went astray.
So did David.
Yeah, but David was a man after God's own heart. His wisdom came from God.
Well, then his wisdom sucked,
But
because if you
Solomon
look
was
at what
more
David
carnal.
did. So, yes, it does say that David was a man after God's own heart, and Solomon is given wisdom because wisdom is ultimately when you are told, give me anything I want, and he gives you wisdom. Ultimately, the idea of wisdom being gifted is to help you have discernment, so that hopefully you avoid the missteps that previous people have done. Now, does that work? No, we still see that Solomon also has his own missteps. But I think that is also just human nature, that to think that any one of us is going to have perfection is no one is. We're all going to make mistakes. We're all on a line, at least in my mind. Every one of us is on a line where we're either closer to the ideal that God wishes or we're farther away. And with every choice and every decision that we make, we move closer on that line or we move farther away. Hopefully we are making choices that move us closer, and hopefully wisdom and discernment helps us with that.
Yeah, I guess I was just confused as to, because and I know you just explained it, but it's just because he never had that relationship like David had. You know how David, came to the Lord, asked him, what he wanted him to do. I never saw Solomon doing that. Although he had all the wisdom, it doesn't seem his wisdom was better than David's wisdom, you know. And I
Kind of
just,
true.
to me,
True.
I just, you know, I
Maybe
would
he
think the
had
Lord would,
none. And so mine's
I would think God would give him a heart to seek him versus wisdom. That's all I'm saying. It just confused me on that. I just was confused on the differentiation between the relationships that
Well, and
David had versus Solomon.
it's not even necessarily wisdom. He's asking for discernment. He's asking for a heart that hears. So I think that we get this idea that it's automatic wisdom, but what Solomon asked for is literally a heart that hears, a heart that can discern, have moral judgment, attentiveness more than rather intelligence.
Okay. Thank you so much.
That's
thank
my
you so
pleasure.
much for coming up, Mindset. Appreciate you. Hey, Robin. Hey, Rabbi. Welcome back. And hey, Chet. Welcome up. Good to see you.
Hey, good to see you.
Good afternoon, everybody. Hi.
Did anybody else have a question for the rabbi?
I was just going to comment on wisdom as it appears in the Bible really quick, because it is kind of a general term and it covers a little bit more than what I think a lot of people in English would say is understood by wisdom. So you have like the wisdom of, it means probably something more like skill. I think when we translate it wisdom, we mean something like skill in living or something like that. But, you can have the wisdom of, the ability to make something, right? And it just refers to having skill in that.
That makes it's a skill issue mean a whole new thing.
Is that the Bitzalel? Is Bitzalel uses wisdom?
I was thinking of Hokmah. I don't know if they translate. Yeah, Bitzalel is
Well, I'm
as
asking
well.
like in the text with the creating the like the Ark of the Covenant and all that. Does Bitzalel and Oholiav, do they have Chokhmah? Is that what's described?
I believe so.
Interesting. Cool.
Yeah, I'll look it up real quick. I'm pretty sure that is the word in the in the like the tabernacle construction. I know it shows up there at some point.
Then go to the bathroom, stupid. Oh, sorry, I didn't realize I was unmuted. I'm still playing Sims.
Always thought of.
Okay, I'm glad that wasn't you talking to a child or something.
Oh gosh, no.
I thought you were talking about one of your dogs or something like that. That's where my mind went.
Yeah, me too, actually.
I'm talking to my sim who is standing there like having to bladder and it's like not doing anything. And I'm like, will you just do it then?
Just gonna say, I've always thought of wisdom as kind of the difference between kind of knowledge and wisdom, where sort of knowledge is kind of knowing something about something. I've always thought of wisdom as kind of the practical utility of that knowledge. So how you actually use that knowledge in practice, how you apply that knowledge. So basically, wisdom is knowledge given practical utility that serves a purpose to solve an issue.
That sounds like a very wise thing to say. I'd have to agree. I a saying that's always stuck with me is it goes something like, um, true wisdom is learning from other people's mistakes as opposed to you learning the mistakes yourself. I'm probably butchering it, but you understand what I mean. Like,
Yeah,
um,
that's a great way of putting it.
and I feel like history is an excellent example of that, because the not. Oh, sorry. Did somebody say something?
No, so I just brought somebody up and his mic was not muted, so go ahead.
Oh, okay. I was just gonna say, I feel like history is a great source of wisdom that we can all learn from, or at least as much history as is available to us. Because typically speaking, the winners of wars, for example, are going to have a different narrative of what actually happened. But we can all look to the past and see the mistakes and transgressions that other people have made and learn from it and use it in our daily lives, apply it. And that's
Yeah,
wisdom.
Absolutely.
yeah, I think that's a great definition. So basically, it's knowledge that's applied to life. Wisdom becomes kind of knowledge that's lived correctly, right?
Can you guys give me just 1 second? Let me qualify the latest, you guys. Hebel, can I get your age for TikTok purposes?
Yeah, 40s.
Okay, and are you a Christian or a believer of the God of the Bible?
I'm Christian.
Okay, hang on 1 second. And then Deathless, can I get your age for TikTok purposes?
Sure, 46.
All right, and are you a Christian or a believer of the God of the Bible?
Yes, I am.
Okay, we'll be with you in a minute. Well, they were talking about something, then Hebel will have the next question, and then it'll be your turn. Okay, continue. I think Chet was looking something up. Was that what was going on?
I did find it. Yeah, Chokmah is used there.
Okay. Okay. Hebel, did you have a question? Or Hevel? It's Hevel. Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I did. It's a slight for the rabbi. It's a slightly technical question, but it's something that I'm struggling to understand.
Hit me. I'll try my best.
Okay, so I've been reading this book about Genesis and about the separation of the J and the P source.
Right?
And the author makes quite a strong claim about that there is a distinct difference in Hebrew
Just so you're aware,
between
Hevel,
Genesis 1 and Genesis
Hevel,
2.
hold on, Hevel. Before you start, like the issue is the J, P, E, D are already outdated sort of understandings of the
That's
documentary
debatable.
hypothesis.
I think there's still
I
some
call it
debate
P
on
and
whether or not.
non-P for simplicity.
Yeah, I mean, I would say P and not P is generally accepted. There's a bit of debate as far as J, E, and then J, R.
Yeah, the split between J.
J, E. Right. Yeah.
But let's call it P. It doesn't matter. The split is P and non-P.
Yep, just wanted to be on
The
the
author makes a claim that the Hebrew in Genesis 2 is distinct from the Hebrew in P. And he cites function words, conjunctions, propositions, and adverbs. And he lists a bunch of Hebrew, which are sort of unique to that layer source and puts it in the bracket of what he would call classical biblical Hebrew, whereas he would put P in later biblical Hebrew or transitional biblical Hebrew. And I was just wondering if any of this makes sense. So the words that he cites is erem, or not yet, being followed by an imperfect. Pen, meaning lest, occurs uniquely. I'll do one more. I mean, he's got a bunch of like 7.
It's
And
a hapax legam. What is it? Hapax legomenon. You're saying it's a single use word?
no, occurs often in CBH.
Oh, I see.
Okay. And excuse my pronunciation. Amadi, with me, occurs
Imati.
often in CBH, where it varies with imi.
Imati.
Compare MD in the early 6th century Edomite inscription. So basically, the question is: Does any of this make sense? And
Who's
is
the
there
author? What book are you writing or reading? I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm not ready yet. It's Hendel, Genesis 1 to 11.
Oh, Handel's good. Handel's really good. That's a brand new book, isn't it?
I was going to say I hadn't heard of it, so it might be. It must be. Although now I got to put it on my list. Hold on a second. Now I got to write a note to pick it up.
Yeah. So Handel did a really nice, like a critical analysis of Genesis 1 through 11. But then he just recently started. He did publish the first volume of an Anchor Bible commentary on those
Exactly.
passages. And then I think, so is it the Anchor Bible?
Yeah, it's the Yale Anchor. Yeah.
It's the Anchor. Okay, hold on a minute. I'm writing this down so I can read it. Because honestly, I want to be real with you. I have not read it, so it'd be hard for me to speak to it without doing a lot of research myself.
Yeah, I'll have to look into his arguments. My understanding generally is that most of the Pentateuch is going to be in the form of classical Hebrew. I don't think that you really get what we would, someone like Avi Horvitz would call late biblical Hebrew. I don't think you get almost any of that. As I don't think like you could take a source like J or P and say this is written in late biblical Hebrew. I think it's all classical Hebrew. Now, whether you can find distinctions between those, I mean, it sounds like he's attempting to make that argument. So I'd be really interested.
Exactly.
But yeah,
I'm kind of curious. Is it obvious from reading it, or do you have to really go looking for these differences, or are there?
If I could jump in,
is there an archaic language in J that kind of sticks out?
Go for it, Rav.
Yeah. So I think there's something that is actually often overlooked that I think is really separates this text from Genesis 1, which is chapter 2, verse 4. Ela toldot hashamayim v'haaretz. This phrase is connecting that story with the other iterations of Ela toldot, and to me, it actually sort of notices or it distinguishes itself from the previous creation story. And it's actually saying, look, there are multiple creation stories that are being recorded here, and is actually being quite honest about the fact that Genesis 1 and Genesis 2 and 3 are not connected, and they're not meant to be rectified.
Oh,
they're not meant to be melded together.
Before we go any further, hang on 1 second, okay? You guys, thank you for the 73,000 likes, for the heart me's, for the sharing. I'll be live for about 20 more minutes. If you're enjoying the show and you don't want me to end in 20 minutes, all you have to do is help me reach my gift goal of the octopus. I have 9 of 30 right now. If I reach the gift goal, I stay live for another hour. If not, and you know what? Gifts are appreciated. They are not expected, but it does help when I'm gifted. It helps me be able to stay live a little bit longer. If not, I'll go have lunch and I'll see y'all tomorrow. But during Hebrew class, not here live. We meet on Discord for Hebrew class tomorrow at 11 a.m. in my Discord. By the way, I'm over in the Discord, and I remembered to go to the live chat, and I'm all alone over there. So if you're on my Discord, I'm hanging out in the live chat all by myself. Come hang out with me. Okay, go ahead and continue the conversation, but we need to get to Deathless here because I think he has a question too.
I'll just say for your
go ahead,
own,
Rob. I'm sorry.
For your own sake, Crystal, Deathless is not going to be like a contributor to this conversation.
I know who he is. I know who he is.
Just poison the well before I talk.
No,
it doesn't matter. We don't have to start right now. We don't have to start right now arguing. Just I already know who he is. I know who he is.
Yeah, I mean, just to answer Hevel real quick. Yeah, I would not be able to detect just by reading that we're dealing with late Hebrew.
It's not my fault. Your worldview is easy to falsify. It's not my fault.
Why are you interrupting
I think that
right
we'll
now?
get to you.
Do you not understand?
Other people are speaking, and we'll get to you.
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
I said I would get to you next. I asked people to finish up so I could get to you. Okay, so let them finish.
But yeah, no, I would just say it reads like classical Hebrew. I can find a couple of things, like the use of the he mater to indicate like a third masculine singular suffix. You see that in pretty much all the sources in the Pentateuch. That tends to be an earlier feature. Things like that. In P, for example, we have what's called a hieric compaginis, a type of a intermediate ancient vowel that gets preserved in certain grammar forms.
Without the yud, right?
Sorry?
Without the yud mater. Is that accurate?
So yeah. It has the wal mater instead, it's the same phenomenon. Correct. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I could point to different things. I think that point to like an early Hebrew for most of the Pentateuch. But yeah, I'd be interested to see his arguments. Again, I don't know it would definitely be something that you'd have to go looking into to detect, but there might be something there.
Can I just highlight really quickly? So what Chet was just saying is that there are certain letters in Hebrew that, because Hebrew, we don't really use vowels as in its written sense. We use vowels to like learn how to read it and to make sure that we're pronouncing it and to make sure that we're parsing out the grammar properly. But what Chet is saying is that there are certain letters like hey and yud that if you come to the Hebrew class, you'll learn about. But they function sort of to tell you what the actual sound is. They help you fill in what the construction of the word is. So, for example, in English, when we have the letter Y at the end of the word key, it helps to elongate the E vowel, and it assists as a vowel. Or like the letter H at the end of the word ba, right? It tells us that it is a long ah sound. And so the same thing happens in Hebrew with certain letters like yud and hey.
I like the way you said ba.
Yeah, it's important.
Can I try and understand here? Because I'm playing a game catch up. So when you said P and non-P, so that P is kind of like priestly, right? And so it is what we're saying here that there's a narrative sort of language difference that occurs between Genesis 1 and 2, where basically there's two different traditions that are kind of being written, and somehow if there's some kind of editing going on within Genesis, that the two are kind of merged to come together in the Torah. And I've just kind of tried to look it up because I'm a little bit lost. I'm not gonna lie. And so like a difference would be in Genesis 1 where it refers to Elohim as God, but then Genesis 2 and 3 use, is it Yahweh Elohim, or the Lord God? And
yeah, that's
so
right.
that's two different traditions essentially.
There's a wonderful book by Joel Baden called The Neo-Documentary Hypothesis, which would be,
Yes,
if you're
Joel
interested,
Bacon's
would be a great.
Neo documentary is pretty good.
It would be a great place to jump off. But so there's long since been noted a potential intertwining of two sources. But the question of the language is, are there any clues that which one is antecedent to the other? Can we tell one came before the other or not?
I think there's even more clues, like just in the narrative arcs, like in what sort of source materials being used, like what parallel mythologies are being used, sort of what are the underpinning messages that are being expressed, and even asking ourselves when and why were they written. So like I'm working on it now, and I love Chat. I love your input if you're into it, but I'm trying to create sort of a document that lists the archaeological history on one side and where texts sort of line up in that history on the other side.
Oh, that sounds awesome. I'd love to help.
Yeah.
I do want to get back to what you just said in a second, Rab, but I want to go ahead and see. Deathless, did you have a question for the rabbi today?
Well, in this particular instance, I was going to say that now that I know that you have a rabbi, it sort of clears up the equivocation. But in this particular instance, I was going to say that using Jewish sources to interpret the Bible is an incorrect source, and I'm going to explain how and why.
Wait, what?
So,
just before, Deathless,
Hold on a second. What?
Wait, Deathless, what is the word? Deathless, what does the word equivocation mean? Hold on, 1 second. What does the word equivocation mean?
Equivocation means a process of general elimination between two.
No, that's not what.
Equivocation means a process of logical elimination.
That's not what equivocation means.
Between one term to another term without justification of the transitory relationship.
No, it means being unclear and obfuscating in speech. It means
I just said that. I just said that, but far more accurately than you.
No, you didn't.
Yes, I did. Elimination means eliminating one meaning to another, and then another meaning to another one. Transitive relationship means transformation between state A and state B. So how's it feel to lose? So you lost that point. So you just lost to a Gentile on that.
Deathless. Nobody's in a competition. Okay.
Yeah.
It's okay. Relax a little.
That was
Nobody's
easy.
in a
You're never going to beat a
competition
Gentile
with
on
you.
this issue. We're just
Excuse me.
superior
Nobody
philosophers.
is in a competition
No one is
with
trying
you. Nobody
to.
is in. Nobody is
Mike.
trying to beat you right now. In case you didn't know before you came up here, excuse me, Robin, can you please keep him muted for me? Thank you.
His name's Michael, by the way.
Nobody
You
is
don't have
in
to call him by the ridiculous name Deathless.
Okay.
Yeah, but his
Robin,
name is
are you there?
but his name is nothing, and he doesn't even exist in the mind of God.
Robin, are you there?
Well,
okay, thank you.
I got it. Don't worry
now
about it.
listen very carefully to me, Michael. Nobody is in competition. Until you came up here, all of us of different faiths were having a very calm conversation, and we were learning from each other, and we were asking questions, and we were answering questions, and we were having a conversation. And I thought you wanted to join in that conversation, but I think you're in a debate space right now, and you're not. So I think you're lost in the first place. And there's no prize here to be won. Nobody is here is going to win a prize. You don't get a gold star if you're up here and you're beating people, okay? Because nobody's in competition with you, sir. We're having a conversation with you. If you want to engage in the conversation, you're more than welcome to stay. But if you came up here to win a prize, you're in the wrong live, and you should probably leave now. So what did you want to do? Did you want to have a conversation, or were you having a competition?
Well, first, I want to have a conversation. Two, I was making a point when the
Then
rabbi
quit
interrupted.
saying you're winning. Then you quit saying you're winning, okay? Because there's no winning.
Well, it's
here.
true. I won
Nobody's
the point.
going to give you a gold star. Okay,
It was
again,
easy.
you're in the wrong. You're in the wrong. You guys want to know something? It's $10 to drop a guest. It's $10, and you can send that to my Venmo or my Throne. And it's it's just that easy. But Deathless, nobody's up here trying to compete with you. You're competing with yourself, and you're still losing.
That's just an opinion, and it sounds like only you believe it.
Grandma. Phronimos, I'm a grandma. You're right. And I
Miss,
don't think
would I be able to
there's
actually
anything
make
wrong
my
with being a
proposition
grandma,
while you
Pumpkin.
Miss, can I make my proposition? Thank you.
What is your proposition?
So after the destruction of the Second Temple, the Romans confiscated all Jewish literature. It was completely confiscated by the Roman Empire. And the only surviving remnants of Jewish literature were in the hands of three different sects. They were called Judaizers, Hellenizers, and Gnostics, and they were Christians. Now, Marcion compiled the very first Bible, and he was a Christian Gnostic. So when Marcion compiled the very first Bible as a Christian Gnostic, the Hellenizers came up with a counter response to it by putting together a Septuagint in Greek, which is effectively the old of scripture that we have up until we discovered the Dead Sea Scrolls. All Jewish Tanakh, all Jewish Midrash, all Jewish literature is borrowed from the actual surviving manuscripts that Christians chose for the purposes of substantiating messianic mission. So when Jews go ahead and they're actually teaching Bible, they're teaching it as a surreptition of the actual Christian literature, which alone has the surviving source literature. Its secondary sources based off Christian manuscripts, and for that reason, it has only auxiliary authority. So if you want to understand,
I just want to say,
what is the question you have in there? Because
he doesn't have a question.
Crystal
Jews don't have any
actually
authority on
said,
this issue.
do you have a question
They
for
lost
the
their
rabbi?
authority.
I happen to be one of the rabbis. There's two of them in here. So when Crystal said, do you have a question for the rabbi? And then you came up, we are under the assumption you had a question for one of us, not just
I did, but it got answered.
pontificate.
I did, but it got answered.
He does not have a question because he just said what he had to say, and I just blocked him, so it'll take a minute for him to fall off here. But he said that Gentiles are superior. And so what he came up to do was
I don't understand the need. What I don't understand is I will tell you all day long that Christianity and Judaism is different. I don't say one is superior to the other because I don't see it in gauges of who can win. We are just different. We approach text differently. We approach our religion much differently. But to think that one of us is better, I don't understand what you gain from that. What anyone gains from the idea that one is better. We are just different.
Like saying red is better than blue.
When argumentatively, it's actually teal is the better one.
My favorite color.
Just so everybody knows, I knew who he was when I brought him up. I knew that was who he was. Okay. Did I know he was so anti-Semitic? I did not know that part. Okay. But Leslie pointed out to me in Discord, Nicholas is over there, DMing me in Discord. Everybody's trying to tell me. But he is gone. He's been blocked. I will not be bringing Deathless, the anti-Semite, back.
There was a couple things.
And I won.
Yeah, you did. For anybody who's listening to this, you can't the language that he was using about how Gentiles will automatically have this superior understanding of the scripture to all Jewish people. That is super anti-Semitic. That's fucked up. Don't say that. Also, he did not understand. He didn't know anything about history.
I would disagree
I'm sorry,
that it's
Rabbi?
anti-Semitic. I think he's just a dick.
I agree. He is a dick. But additionally, he was spreading misinformation because I double checked this. I have this in front of me right now. The Septuagint was something that was created by the request of Ptolemy II of Philadelphus between 285 and 247 BC. So his claim that the Septuagint was something that was created in the AD Common Era time, yeah, he pulled that right out of his ass.
Okay, wait, I have to address something in chat really quick because Phronimos, who the only thing they can say about me is that I'm granny. Okay. It's not an insult to be old. I hope that for all of you that you grow to be old too. Like if you think that calling somebody old or insinuating that they're old is an insult, you're just an idiot. But the fact that you said you can't read my name, you can't read my name, and you're calling me granny and trying to insult me and idiot, you can't even fucking read a name that's right there on the screen in front of you? I think you need glasses, sir. I think you're getting old, sir.
I don't know about you, Crystal, but I love being a grandma.
I do too. It's been amazing. I don't know why they think they're insulting me by calling me granny. I'm a grandma and I'm proud of it. I have the best, most beautiful grandchildren ever. That's not an insult, you idiot.
This is what I'm saying.
Maybe
I have
you're
7
a person
grandchildren
who wants to die young. So Phronimos, the loser, if you want to die young, go die young. I don't care. I wanted to live, so I'm still alive. Because you're trying to use it as an insult, asswipe. Everybody's told you to use my name, and you can't seem to do it because you said you can't read it, which is really weird.
Do you mind if I address something? Do you mind if I address something?
Sure,
real quick,
go right
Crystal?
ahead.
Where is
Go
it?
ahead.
It says female rabbis. Bobby, yes, and did you know we can vote too?
Oh my!
We can vote. As it turns out, I can drive a car. I can have my own bank account. So go me. And by the way, reform is a completely valid form of Judaism, in case anyone will tell you otherwise. Being reform is a completely valid form of Judaism. While I am not reform, it is a completely valid stream of Judaism. And to think that just because there are women rabbis that we all must be reform is a misnomer.
I want to say.
I'm here smiling. What the hell, dude?
Why does it have to be female rabbi and not woman rabbi? Women rabbi. Like, you can tell where their mind is based on the language that they're using. Because we are not animals. We are human beings. We are women.
Phronimos, why don't you come up? Why are you sitting down there in chat being like a little scared child? Why don't you come up and talk to me? You got so much to say about me.
Just rabbi is good, yeah.
Just degrading women for no other reason. We're up here having a very, very nice conversation, and you're just sitting down there being a little annoying gnat. That's what you are, like a little annoying gnat. because I've asked you, and so has the chat, to say my name and stop calling me Granny. I'm not your grandma, so don't call me that.
Is this like a kink thing for you, sir?
I think it is. Hey, you guys, we have just a few more minutes. If anybody else has any questions or anything they want to go over on the panel, please feel free. If you guys want me to stick around, I still need a few more octopus, but if not, that's okay. I will go eat some lunch and prepare for, I need to study my Hebrew anyway.
I have one question, and hopefully somebody can answer it for me, because no one ever answers this, and that is, who is Kaiser Soze?
Kevin Bacon.
Oh, yeah. Oh, you're a Deathless fan. Are you, Phronimos? And that's what this is about? I kicked your little friend, the anti-Semite, off my panel, and now you're sad, Phronimos? I'm so sorry. That must be really hard for you. Oh my gosh. Can I get baby bottles in chat for Phronimos? Because he's sad. His friend got kicked out of here. That's sad. Listen, little man, with
Men
a
are
little.
weird.
I know, they're so weird.
Kaiser Soze is a fictional character and the main antagonist in the 1995 film The Unusual Suspects.
The Usual Suspects. Yeah, I know who he is. It's a joke.
I had to look it up.
It's a joke.
It's Verbal Clint. That's who he is.
I had to look it up. I didn't know anything about this. This came out the year it was born.
My best friend and I, when we are on live together, if I'm on live, he will come in just long enough to say, I have a question for the rabbi. Who is Kaiser Soze? And then he leaves. And then I do that to him when he's live. I will go in and be like, who is Kaiser Soze? And it's just become a thing.
It's really weird that Deathless has Muslims who defend him. That's weird. Muslims who defend him. And he had to send all his friends in. This is a man who could not engage in a conversation. And so, yes, I kicked him out of my life. And this man then went and told all of his little friends from middle school to go bully me. What kind of a low self-esteem do you have that you come up here and think you won something when we're not even in a competition? Then when you are, when boundaries are set, you're kicked out, you're blocked. You send all your children in here to bully the host. Like, what kind of a life do you have? What kind of self-esteem? Like, he sounds like the tiniest little insecure man of all. Like, there couldn't to have names like Deathless or whatever. Like, he has some really weird usernames too. It's so weird.
He needs to change his name to Tutorial Boss. Because he's known as Final Boss.
What gets me is I'm not on lives too much right now. My daughter is, her autism is taking a lot of my time just because the nature of what's going on with her. So I'm mostly like co-regulating her. Today is the day that I actually have a little bit of a break. But is this what's happening like on lives all the time now? Is just this kind of nonsense?
They really want to. They just like, I don't really understand. Like, I picture that these are all, guys 40 and younger who can't get laid to save them, to save their lives. Because, like, I am so sorry, but when I was their age and single and it was a Friday night, I would not have thought, you know what I want to do is go yell at people on the internet and call them names. Even if the internet existed, that would not have been what I wanted to do. I would have been out having fun, like just living life, going to parties, doing stuff. And these guys have no fucking life whatsoever. No, Otter, I'm okay because my mods will mute him once I'm done playing with him. I'm just playing with my food at this point.
I do that too, but my wife generally enjoys it.
But I'm going to make you a mod anyway, Otter, because you're amazing.
No one ever gets my jokes. Man.
Wait, say
Yeah,
it again. I
I got
talked
your
over your
joke. I just
joke as
didn't say
part of it.
anything.
So
I just
just
talked over
My
it.
poor
You're.
wife.
I really
I know
enjoyed
when
the
I.
line. I just wanted to say
I'm
thanks
sorry. Go
for the
ahead, brother.
line.
I didn't hear you.
No, I just want to say thanks for the live. I
Oh,
think Chat and Rav have opened up a little bit of a rabbit hole for me now, but it actually it's quite a beautiful one because so you know, kind of you mentioned kind of Baden and that sort of near documentary, and so coming from that, it looks like there's sort of four independent sort of narrative documents or four traditions. Now, I think what's more scripturally normal is to choose one, but to actually harmonize four and to keep four, even though they represent sort of contradictions, is kind of like a beautiful way of saying
That's not
that.
quite how that works.
Okay.
Not quite, brother. So
Yeah.
what they're proposing is what the preposition here is the idea, and I think I used that word wrong, and so I apologize, is that there are some core texts, and that from those core texts there were additions to those texts as time moved forward to clarify the text, to expand on the text, to help with clean the narration of the text.
Yeah.
And that those are the other layers depending on the use of those layers, or what the use of those layers are going to be. So that idea of like P or non-P being like the priestly layer versus non-priestly layer. So what Baden, so originally the first kind of idea of the documentary hypothesis comes from a man named Julius Wellhausen in like the 1800s.
Yeah.
And he's the one who kind of posits that there are these different narrative layers that then come together and do harmonize to create what we know as the scripture. Now, Joel Baden goes in and says, I think that it is not quite the way that Julius Wellhausen posits it, and kind of separates it in a different way. And I actually like Joel Baden. He's a pretty good author. I'm at right now
He
talking to my
focuses
teacher's
on the
assistant.
narrative.
Yeah, I actually talking to my teacher's assistant to see if I can get the new Handel. I'm like, hey, can you hunt down this book for me? I want to read this new book for the Anchor Bible commentary series. So
Rabbi, what do you think about the Deuteronomistic layers, DTRH?
Okay,
Big.
so
That's where things get a little wild.
It does for me too. Now I know I have a couple of friends and colleagues who are very much love the Deuteronomistic. I never can say it right. I apologize. This is what happens when you grow up deaf.
No one can. Don't worry.
It's actually why they named it that.
It just to fuck with us all. Yeah, and I tell people consequently that my Hebrew is terrible too, because I grew up deaf, and so I had to learn Hebrew by reading it. So when I speak Hebrew, it is atrocious, and I warn everyone ahead of time. You don't want me speaking Hebrew, ask my mom, she'll speak the Hebrew. I think it's an interesting idea. I know I have some friends who are really, really kind of behind it. I'm still kind of on the fence.
Can I just jump in just for a second? Like my big thing about Deuteronomy and like the Deuteronomic history is that it largely precedes the Babylonian exile for the most part. And I think the sort of telltale sign for me is that, first of all, Mount Sinai is almost entirely unmentioned throughout the book of Deuteronomy. And so, you know, the story about receiving Torah at Mount Sinai, Isaiah is entirely unaware of this. In fact, he says, Ki mitzion tetzeh Torah. From Mount Zion emits Torah, comes forth Torah. U'devar Adonai Yerushalayim, and the word of God from Jerusalem. And so, like, I think that there's no, you cannot emphasize the fact enough that the order in which we read the Bible is not obviously, but like the order that it's not the one that it's not how it was written. And I think like that's why I think this chart that I am sort of compiling is actually like a much more compelling, like to me, the final redactor is actually telling a very clear story of the return from the Babylonian exile. Like it is the return to Zion. That is the narrative arc from Genesis to Deuteronomy, and it's the narrative arc from Genesis to Chronicles 2, the last
the last verse in Chronicles 2 is all about King Cyrus saying, "Go back into the land." And to me, that's setting the precedent because that's the last verse in the entire Tanakh. It is also incorporating things that come much, much later than Second Chronicles amidst that sort of narrative arc, which is to say that no matter where you are, the goal is to return. That's sort of the voice of the Tanakh.
Sure. But the redactor is preserving the contradictions in the flood account. I mean, you can debate Genesis 1, Genesis 2, and tie yourself up in pretzels, but the flood account is very interwoven.
Evel, so what I'm actually advocating is that the Garden of Eden story is actually a hall of mirrors of the Babylonian exile itself. That the Adam was created outside the garden and placed into the garden. In other words, the Adam was created somewhere west of Eden, which is to say west of Iraq, and then placed into the gardens of Babylon. So I'm comparing Genesis 2 and 3 with Jeremiah 29 and Jeremiah 39.
I think you would enjoy Hendel because he takes the opposite approach, and he puts he puts Eden in the Akkadian period, and he draws parallels to the author's reticence of empire and the reference to Nimrod being a very Akkadian-esque kind of king.
For Genesis 1, definitely.
No.
I think Genesis 1
not Genesis 1. I think Genesis 1 is exilic or post-exilic because it's responding to the Emunah Elish and is giving this polemic against the Marduk story. But Genesis 2...
that's Akkadian. Emunah Elish is the Akkadian creation myth.
Yeah, but the idea is the exiles would have encountered this in Babylon during the New Year festival every year. And it has this very stylized...
Zoroastrianism is what I'm saying.
Sure.
They would have encountered
But I think you would enjoy Hendel because the Akkadian...
Okay, yeah, I'm happy to
the old Akkadian Empire, the pre-Neo-Babylonian Empire elements in Nompi in Genesis, I think are quite compelling. And he brings it all together with this like anti-Akkadian Empire polemic, which is playing out. And the play in Genesis 2 with the Epic of Gilgamesh and certain aspects of that story. And as Dr. Joshua Bowen put me onto a long time ago, which was amazing, Dapper and the Breaking of the Wing of the South Wind. And there is also another wonderful book that Dr. Bowen got me to read, which was From Adapa to Enoch, which is phenomenal. It's a very, very good book. Very dense, but very good.
Yeah, that's interesting. I'd probably be at the complete opposite extreme. I tend to date even most of P as being pre-exilic. And like in terms of like the Enuma Elish in Genesis 1, you also have to remember that like in the 13th century at Ugarit in Canaan, they already had influence from that kind of a motif, like in the Baal cycle, for example. So I wouldn't see any reason.
I do love the Baal cycle, but like the Baal cycle is an establishment of kingship. It's not a creation ethic. It has some parallels with temple building, but Baal is like basically asserting himself as the successor to El in the Baal cycle and beating off Yam and Mot. And the Emunah Elish is more a core creation, from the beginning of the world creation.
Yeah, but I think there's enough influence between Enuma Elish and Baal cycle that, like, I think that the motifs that you need to get the P creation narrative, I think you have evidence that you can have that without.
I agree. Which way round do you think the influence went? Do you think the Baal cycle influenced the Emunah Elish or the other way around?
I mean, it's difficult to say because they both come up, as far as I can tell, around the same time. People often assume that it's West Semitic borrowing from Akkadian. Oh, I just heard myself. But I
just brought somebody up. Sorry.
Yeah, you're good. But I think that, you'd probably need more evidence to point one way or the other. I don't think you can make that assumption.
Exactly, like the directionality's up for play.
Chet, don't you see, correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't there Ugaritic, as far as in the post-exilic period, isn't there Ugaritic influence, for that 1,000-year period?
No, so I mean, some of that culture, probably. Yeah, I would say. I mean, Ugarit specifically, if we're talking about the city, it ceased to exist in like 1300
The
was
late
when.
Bronze Age collapse.
Yeah, so that would be possibly 100 years or so before we even have Israel.
And they found in Ugarit
Yeah.
the kilns of the messages asking for help in the ruins.
Right.
They found the
By
tablets
the way,
written saying they were under attack.
Chad, have you ever done like a comparison between the Merneptah Stele and the Song of the Sea?
Oh, I have not. I've heard might be some parallel there.
Yeah, I have a couple good slides that really show. I mean, it's almost parallel, like syntax. It's pretty, and and just the way that they're talking about the other nations, and
Oh, yeah, and
pump
that's
up
one.
piece.
Yeah, and what's interesting? So the Song of the Sea. This is a very old poem that we find in Exodus 15. For anyone who doesn't know, now this is one where just by reading it, you can absolutely tell that you're reading something older, with like the enclitic mems and the like energic nuns, stuff that eventually, even in like what we would call early biblical Hebrew, it reflects a dialect even earlier than that. So yeah, that's interesting that there would be parallel with the Merneptah Stele, because that's about where someone like David Friedman or Frank Cross would want to date this.
Right, exactly.
Hey, I love all you Bible nerds, but let me introduce our next panelist. James, can I get your age for TikTok purposes?
I am 29.
Are you a Christian or a believer of the God of the Bible?
I am a friend. I'm an attending member at a meeting, the Quakers, if you've heard of them.
I was a Quaker. Yeah, I have heard of the Quakers. And so, did you have a question for the rabbis today?
Not particularly.
What did you want to come up for?
At the moment, I was just listening. I would happy to be to join in the discussion.
He's waiting for the Spirit to move him.
To be fair, that at the moment I was listening along, that kind of go over my head. I kind of consider myself like a layman. So I personally have the relationship with the Bible that I grew up in a very scripture-oriented church or congregation among the Wesleyans. And as I got older, I kind of now moved towards the more folk Christianity, or the more open-ended, continued revelation. And we're here 2,000
from the
years
Ohio Valley. James,
I'm from
the Ohio
Pennsylvania.
Valley?
Okay, I'm from Pennsylvania.
Right. Pretty close.
From central Pennsylvania, so just outside of the Ohio.
Harrisburg?
North of Harrisburg. Yeah.
Okay.
I don't have
we don't want him to dox himself.
Sorry,
I don't have a problem sharing that. I do kind of approach the internet with "Are you serious?" personality. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I didn't mean to put you on the spot like that. I'm hearing a lot of familiar sort of language, and yeah.
And that's a part of it. Yeah. It's a very like familiar method of understanding Christianity. It's more like the interpersonal relationship between people and the friendships that they have, manifesting that brotherhood or fellowship that gets people through life. Like the recognition of the inner light between all people, that sort of thing. But that's obviously not. I wouldn't consider that super biblical. So if you had any more information about how that all relates to the Bible, I haven't really deconstructed all that. I'm more of like a modern Bayard Rustin kind of Quaker, if you know. I don't know if you know Bayard Rustin.
I think that like the Appalachian and Ohio Valley and central Pennsylvania sort of Christianity really comes out of like the English puritanical movement and that sort of thing. And I think it's like a really fascinating chapter of American history. There's a great movie called The Songcatcher that features Emmy Rossum from I think it's from the late 80s, maybe early 90s. But the reality is this sort of version of Christianity is, I think, the Huguenots and sort of religious fundamentalists that left England because they were, they claimed that they were coming to America for religious freedom. We call them the Pilgrims. But in reality, they were religious fundamentalists who were kicked out of England because they were trying to take over the Parliament. And so the way that we learn about the Pilgrims and the Puritans is very different from the way that English people learn about the Pilgrims and the Puritans. For whatever that's worth, but it's not to do with the Bible. I mean, I think.
Well, listen, you guys.
Yeah.
I want to thank everybody for being here. We did it. No, it's okay. We didn't meet our gift goal today, and that's okay. But we are so close to 100,000. So I'm going to talk for a second. Keep tapping the screen while I do that. And then we have Hebrew class tomorrow in my Discord. Make sure you join tomorrow, 11 a.m. to noon. You're going to love it. If you can't make it for the actual class, if you still join my Discord, the link is in my bio. You can go and Ty here is amazing. She's recording them and putting them in the Discord for people who've missed the class thing.
Crystal, noon to 1, remember? Noon
tomorrow. Noon tomorrow.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry. Noon tomorrow. You guys, I forgot we're doing a little bit later tomorrow. Noon. Yeah. Did you get that? Devil's Public Defender. And also, I want to address a couple of things that I see in noon tomorrow.
Sorry,
Pacific time.
What?
Noon Pacific time.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, Pacific
and
time.
Chat, just so you're aware, we are literally going through the alphabet and the Nikudot. So,
right.
I would love to be there. That sounds awesome.
Oh, you're amazing. You're so
awesome.
Great. You're amazing.
Yay. Awesome. Okay, I want to address a couple of things in chat. First of all, okay, I want to address one thing to a lot of my haters out there. When you hate me and you come in and the first thing you do is attack my age, I want to tell you something, okay? And for all of you listening out there, you're going to grow older. You're going to, or you're going to die. Those are the only two choices we have in this world. And as you grow older, your eyesight starts to go. You start seeing tons of wrinkles. Okay, that happens. Your skin changes. Your hair changes. Everything about you changes. But inside, you don't feel that way. Okay, inside, you're still you. You're just you with an old shell on, okay? And I don't want any of my followers, the ones who follow me because they like what I do, I don't want you guys to ever feel bad about getting older. You're a fucking survivor, first of all. It's not easy to survive in this fucking planet, okay? And we don't have to give in to this idea that we're not allowed to age. That is a bullshit idea that people shouldn't age and that we should feel bad when we do. That is so stupid and it's weird, okay? People age. We lose our hair. We get wrinkles. We get arthritis. And there's nothing morally wrong with that. And there's nothing that should make you feel bad about that, okay? If you are older and you're a grandma or grandpa, wear that fucking badge with pride because I do. And I just don't want people to go around. I hear some of you, you're like 30 and y'all are complaining already because you're like, oh my God, I'm so old. No, you're not, bitch. You're just a baby. Okay. And
thank you very much.
If for some reason you are lucky enough to live as long as I have or longer, you know, you're going to look back at the way you were an ageist to people my age, and you're going to realize how stupid it was. It's stupid to be ageist. What are you doing? Like, I can't stand when people my age treat younger people like they're less than just because they're younger. And I cannot stand it when you younger people think that insulting people for their age is like some kind of moral judgment on them. It has nothing to do with my morals. I just fucking survived this god-awful planet for all these years. I think what you're really pissed about is that you haven't been able to shut me up yet. And I'm not gonna shut up, okay? I'm here, bitch. What you gonna do about it, okay? Now, the other thing I wanted to talk about is why I do this. I get that all the time too. Why, if you don't believe, are you studying the Bible? Why? Are you serious? First of all, you won't let us stop talking about it. You shove it down our fucking throats at every chance you get. Put it in the schools. Make sure everybody says Merry Christmas, not Happy Holidays. Make sure everybody knows Jesus is Lord. And now, why are you talking about him? Why are you discussing our book? Why? You sound ridiculous. Let me tell you something. Right now, we have a federal government who are telling our military that they are fighting a holy war, that they are doing this for divine reasons. People are dying because of your stupid belief, and I'll be damned if I do not educate myself and anybody else who wants to go along with me on that education. I am not going to sit here and remain ignorant while people are dying because of this book. I want to know the truth about it. If you want to sit in your ignorance, you go do that. I'm not going to do it. I refuse to. I am sorry, but ignorance is what gets us in places like Shitler, and we're headed there. We are already there. I don't know why I'm saying headed there. And it's because people chose to remain ignorant, and I will not be that person. So why do I keep talking about it? Because you won't shut up and leave us alone about it. Now, if you all want to fucking go back to practicing your religion in your home and get it out of my fucking schools and out of my fucking government and out of my fucking life, then I'll shut up about it. But until that day, I will not. And that is why.
Mic drop.
Sorry about that. Anyway, I will... Thank you. Thank you so much, everybody, for all your gifts and all your likes. We got over the 100,000. I really appreciate it. I will be at Non-Believers Bible Study tomorrow. I am not going to have Decon Q&A this week. By the way, it is possibly the last atheist Sunday school ever. So if you can, show up for Mezzo Sunday School on Sunday. But I will be back Monday right here at 10 a.m. Pacific time for conversations. So I hope you guys will join me then. You guys have anything that you want to say before we go?
Yeah, I just wanted to say thank you for the live, because it's I mean, it's brought, I think Rav, I just wanted to check with Rav, because I heard something, but I'm not sure I heard it, because it blew my mind. I think Rav said that the Garden of Eden story is kind of like a retelling of the experience of the Babylonian sort of exile. And it's making me think now, because, those kind of early chapters in the book of Genesis, that those kind of themes of it really kind of resonate quite strongly with exile and the loss of a homeland. So so it kind of makes sense. And and just the whole kind of
can I, Crystal, I
yeah,
don't mean to, like, I know that you're logging off. Like, I think, like, people don't realize that, like, Jews have for thousands of years been longing for home. And I think the problem is you have people, extremist governments throughout the world, who oppress people and do horrible things. But the reality is, like, there are people all over the internet who say that Zionism is a bad thing, and that being Jewish is somehow not connected to Israel in some way, shape, or form. And I think, like, the reality is that people fail to ask Jews what Zionism means. People fail to ask anybody what anything means, and fail to have deep, nuanced conversations with anybody, because we are so staunch in our silos. And to Crystal's main point, we have a extremist government in power in our country right now that is using any violence that it perceives on the left to further push people to the right. And what I see about to happen is a disjointed left about to lose another election, about to lose the entire House, and about to lose the entire presidency again. Trump will not be reelected. He will not go for a third term, but we will have somebody like Nick Fuentes. We will have somebody who is extreme right who takes over because young men in this country are angry and are being told by people like Andrew Tate and Nick Fuentes and whoever the else fuck is yelling in their ear that they should be angry. We are going to be pushed further and further right, and the left is going to be further and further disjointed, and the extremism is only going to take further and further root, and marginalized people are going to be unalived. And the reality is that if we can't actually come to terms with real numbers and real facts and have difficult conversations and get out of our own sort of way, our own sort of staunch opinions on things, we're never going to be able to progress. And so I open the door to the difficult conversations. And I think, this particular war is more complex than I think the media is willing to discuss. I have just recently posted a video on my own page that I think speaks to this. I think that we don't realize that Iran.
Oh, you cut out, Rabbi.
Sorry, I got a phone call from a telemarketer. We don't realize that Iran is the number one state sponsor of terror throughout the world. We don't realize that Iran is the number one producer of drones for Russia, who's decimating the Ukrainian people. We don't realize that the entire Middle East right now.
I think he got another telemarketer call. Hang on. It's a CIA otter. It's a CIA calling Rav.
I love that. I love that.
Rav, the suspense is killing me too.
You know, the scary thing is that when you actually read that comment and you think that there's probably more truth in it than fiction. Sign of the times.
You guys,
The
thanks for being here.
Hasatan is trying to take out Rav.
Did I cut out? I was talking the whole time.
Yeah, you've been cut out. We couldn't hear anything.
Oh my fucking God. Son of a bitch. Oh man, it's so annoying. Okay, so I'm so frustrated because we're just not talking to each other. Nobody is having the important conversations. What I said was nobody realized that Iran is like one of the greatest sponsors of state terror throughout the world. Nobody realizes that Iran that is producing all of the drones that are decimating the Ukrainian people by Russia. Nobody is talking about the fact that literally all of these Arab nations are coming together to fight against this. Nobody realizes that women are taking off their hijab for the first time in decades and dancing in the street with their hair showing, which is a crime punishable by unalivement in Iran. Nobody talking about the fact that this could actually liberate people from being child brides. I mean, we talk about the Epstein shit with like 14-year-olds, and these people are marrying them on a regular basis. Like this is a common practice. So like, let's have some real fucking conversations. And by the way, like I'm having a full-on crash out right now, and I apologize. But this is like all consuming for me, because the reality is that we are a generation who knows the devastating effects of a long-term zero-sum war that just kills people, that just decimates people from top to bottom.
Yeah.
And I think that everybody in their right mind should be against that kind of war. And also, like, we have to realize that is no longer the type of war that's being fought. That they have already done what they had expected to do in less than a week. And like, it's just so. I'm sure that everybody's going to be like, this guy.
I really don't want to keep going on because I want to leave.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm having a full-on moment.
No, you don't need to apologize. I just asked for like goodbyes, and brother brought up a whole new conversation.
I'm so
I
sorry.
don't want to do another conversation. Does anybody want to say goodbye?
I do. Goodbye. I'm so sorry.
Thank you.
Rabbi Hannah, thank you so much. You were amazing today. We finished numbers. Thank you you so much. We are now moving out of Numbers next week for Non-Believers Bible Study. Here are all my promotions. Listen to everything I had to say. I have a podcast. It's called Anti-Sermons. If you love the live anti-sermons that I do here a couple times a week, go check out my podcast because that's where you're going to find them, okay? It's everywhere you listen to podcasts. I have an album out. It's called Ex Parte. It's a Deconstruction album. Go listen to that. A Seat at the Table is another album by me. Look for the artist CrystalJae's. The Seat at the Table is a triptych. It is 3 parts, and it's amazing, and it's very relevant to what's happening in the world today. Also, I will be live Monday right here at 10 a.m., and I will see you all on the mean streets of TikTok and YouTube. Go raid Benny Boy and tell him Crystal loves him. Have a great day, everybody. Bye.
Have a great day.
That damn Endymion, yeah.
Bullshit. I definitely don't
She ain't get no dough.
It's called the you have the
Nah, Lord, she got quiet. She knows she did wrong.
No, I mean listen. I was drunk. I couldn't help. But listen, what else can you do at Mardi Gras? You waiting for a parade for 6 hours?
Listen,
Shot,
you